We are live, people. Again, my apologies for anything that happened before. What happened before? We had problems with the internet, and yeah, we have problems with the internet all the time in this stretch of corridor where we live along the south coast, beautiful Australian south coast. Yeah, so just hoping to be able to get going and be able to watch these fights. What I was saying earlier, we should have a really interesting couple of fights here on the card. Obviously, the main event, but I favor Zoo to win that one. I don't think it's just me that favors Zoo to win it, but Eli and I were talking about some of the fights that were on this card that looked potentially quite interesting. And the one that stands out the most is Wade Ryan versus Troy O'Malley. That's probably the one that you know that we've had before, that we've seen before, and that I think that'll be probably the most exciting fight in on today's card, anyways. Using it, I didn't see if it was John Wayne Parr in the corner. It would stand to reason because I believe that the person that Sandstrom is fighting is a Muay Thai exponent, and John Wayne Parr is just about as Muay Thai as we get. Quite an intense stare down here from both these girls. Sandstrom doesn't have the best background as an amateur boxer, and she struggled a bit in her pro career as a boxer. Now she's fighting a girl that I believe fought for an amateur Muay Thai title, maybe amateur world title, but still not. From what I know, not necessarily a boxer, and there is quite a bit of a difference in the two for those that don't know. Jay DeBono says, "How long till the fight starts?" Man, fucking a while till the main fight starts. A while. We're just the first fight on the undercard. Both girls swinging for the fences. Natalie Gonzalez Hills, the Muay Thai exponent, I believe. I don't know if I can't have that confirmed, but I do believe that she is, and I do believe it was John Wayne Parr in the corner. Both girls putting on a pretty full on pace. I think if Sandstrom's look, she's landing that jab over and over. She is Sandstrom, but Gonzalez landed a nice cheeky little uppercut, and she's landing that uppercut. But the jab is landing over and over and over again. I don't know if there's going to be a knockout in this fight necessarily. Gonzalez is also, she's dropping that left hand and getting hit with right hands. It's not the highest boxing caliber from both girls. Both girls showing a lot of heart and a lot of enthusiasm. But yeah, it's not a high level of skill shown at all. Ian Masters, there you are, mate. Hard to track down. Man, that internet fucking killed us today, man. 3425 says war. 3425 says huge war. Yes, sir. Andre says, how long do you think it'll take before Tim is ready for a world level fab? Development is key. WR says, sup, Fab. Jade DeBonner says, Zuva Spark, when will it start? Won't start for a couple of hours, Jade. Let's see. Andre, answer to that question in as far as Tim Tszyu's concerned. Look, Tim Tszyu's working his way. Sandstrom keeps landing the jab, and she keeps missing that right hand, but she keeps hitting Gonzalez almost at will with the left hand. And she's looking to hit her with that right hand as well over the top with the straight right, but I don't think it's got a hell of a lot on it, that punch, anymore. Credit to both girls for getting in there. That's the end of the first round. But yeah, very, very interesting. How long? Look, Tim Tszyu's been around boxing his whole life. They've brought him along really well. He's had, I think this is his 19th fight, 14 by KO. He had a podium finish as an amateur, so I think he was a bronze medalist at nationals in Australia, which is no mean feat. It's quite competitive, Australian amateur boxing. It's not, the Cuban system or the American system or anything like that, but it's still a decent level. You don't get a podium finish as an amateur in Australian boxing. So he has an amateur record, and he's got 18 fights as a pro, 19 with this one. He's fought some decent guys like him. So how long till he's at world level? I think the problem is he has to go. He's won what he's going to win here. He can't just stay here fighting guys at home. So I think depending on who his next fight is with on the world stage, you know. Um, but definitely he can challenge people overseas. I don't know if he can challenge the best guys in his division at this point, nor do I think that that's what they want. Um, Jay Martovi says, "Hey Fab, looking good as always. Thank you, sir." Omar A says, "What age did you lose your hair, young man?" Ian Ma says, "Koala powered outback internet, dude." I don't know what the fuck's wrong with our internet here. I really don't. I really, really don't. Um, Again, so Sandstrom landing that jab at will, snapping the head back, but now Sandstrom seems to have lost a little bit of the pop in her right hand, and kind of it's going to be interesting to see how this fight goes as it progresses into the rounds because Gonzalez seems to have kind of settled down a little bit, and she's just kind of coming forward with a little bit of volume. Nothing doing. There's not a lot of damage going to happen here. I don't see a stoppage by way of one shot knockout. But at this level, once the adrenaline dump has occurred, um, whoever can stay more composed and keep bringing the volume could very well win because Sandstrom is not coming forward anymore behind a nice jab. She's kind of going for that right hand, which she hasn't really found all night. And Gonzalez is now kind of walking her forward with volume. And she seems the more composed out of the two. Not necessarily the more skillful out of the two, but definitely the more composed. Sandstrom is struggling here a little bit, I think, in this second round. She's still looking for that right hand, but Gonzalez is kind of savvy to it and continuing to walk her down. Ooh, she hit her with a stiff jab there, did Gonzalez. And that's a round, people. Andre says Tim is a monster, man. He's in the most stacked division in boxing too. It's full of killers. That's what I mean. I don't necessarily think that they're gonna push him into to fight, you know, at the top of that division right now. You know, I don't think that that's what they're gonna do. Omar A says, "Can you rub my head?" Preferably not. Leighton J says, "Charlo said Tim ain't on the level of the guys he's beat." Um, we're gonna see. You know what I mean? We're gonna see. Charlo's beat a lot of good guys. In fairness, say what you will about Tim's competition, whatever you want to say. I'm not saying it, but I'm saying people can say it. Um, he's answered everything that's been asked of him. You know what I mean? And that's all you can really say at this stage. Hyper Gaming says, "Love your streams." Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Once again, the girls come out. What I see happening here is Gonzalez is just a little bit more composed, and she's able to keep coming forward and start to throw a bit of volume. Sandstrom, when she throws that jab and she sits behind that jab, she does have a lot of success because Gonzalez doesn't actually have an answer for this jab. It's landing quite flush on her chin, but Gonzalez is a little bit more composed and is able to come forward with a little bit more volume than Sandstrom is. And now she's starting to work Sandstrom onto the edge of the ropes, trying to get her into a corner and just land combinations. They are landing on the gloves. That little right hand landed, a cheeky little right hand landed by Gonzalez. Gonzalez throws a right hand, which Sandstrom takes on the gloves. Gonzalez continues to come forward. There's not a lot coming back from Sandstrom as Gonzalez continues to pressure. There's not a hell of a lot happening in this fight either. No big shots landing if you're not watching at home. I'm just letting you know that the pressure's definitely coming from Gonzalez. A lot of the punches are landing on the gloves of Sandstrom, but she's still coming forward and throwing the volume. Suit Myself says, "Did you think Spark has a puncher's chance, or is Tim too technical for him?" I think there's a lot of Gonzalez just keeps coming with the volume. Sandstrom now she's backed up against the rope. The combinations are coming, the volume's coming, and she doesn't really have an answer for it. She's looking for the 1-2 and the big right hand down the middle, but even if she hits a flush, I don't think she's got the power to stop her at this stage in the fight. And you don't really see a lot of knockout stoppages with women that are in the lighter divisions, or men in the lighter divisions. You see more of the knockouts with one shot in the heavier weights, and that's usually in the early rounds. I have to give this to Gonzalez, man. Even though most of the shots are landing on the gloves, she's the one pressuring. She's the one coming forward. In answer to that question before, the thing is, I think Tim's a lot bigger than him. Tim fought at Spark fought at lighter divisions than him. He came in a little heavier, but he's not going to be heavier in the ring. And he came in a few grams heavier on weighing day. Tim's going to be a lot bigger in there. I think that that punch's chance diminishes immediately when you're fighting a bigger guy. And I think that Tim is very skilled. Spark's probably going to come in quite aggressive, but as you know, this fight's going to go longer. If it goes early and Tim lands on him and finishes him, being the bigger guy, and Tim's a very heavy puncher himself, but they're both heavy punchers, but one guy's bigger than the other one, so that's only to Tim's advantage. And then the longer it goes, you got to understand Tim was preparing for Zarafa the whole time, so that's not going to benefit Spark. So I mean, there's always a chance he could clip Tim, but like, you know, there's always a chance no matter what you do. That's not necessarily, you know, I mean, it's possible, but I don't think it's probable that Spark gets a win here. Andre says Charlo should be focused on Castano. That just shows he knows Tim is a potential threat. Yeah, I mean, he's got his own people to worry about for sure. You're 100% right on that one. Adam Mason says, "Hi Fab, hope you're well, my bro, and hi everyone out there. I'm going for Spark because he stepped up. Nice, fair enough. Well, Spark can fight, man. He can bang. And hello to you and guys, anyone here that's going through the lockdown and everything here in Australia. Thoughts are with you, and thoughts are with the rest of the world that's already gone through it. Again, Gonzalez still coming with a little bit more volume. Now she's added a left hook to her repertoire. She's throwing a lead left hook and a lead uppercut, lead right uppercut. She must have sensed something in Sandstrom because now she's going away from the volume and she's actually ripping to the body with that lead left hook. She's looking for more headshots. She's starting to get out of the way of that right hand. The thing is, Sandstrom does have success when she throws that jab and sits behind that jab. She does. She gets nice jabs through. Right hand by the combinations again. The volume's definitely coming from Gonzalez, all taken on the gloves of Sandstrom. 4th of 6 rounds. If Gonzalez continues to pour the volume on, I have to give the round to her. But this round's a little bit better for Sandstrom. I am not judging the fight. I'm just commentating it. I'm just saying how I see it. This one's a little bit better. She has landed a few more jabs, has Sandstrom. It's not pretty. It isn't a pretty fight. I'm not going to lie. Both girls show a great amount of heart, but it wasn't a pretty fight. Jared Smallbone says, "Is this the first fight?" This is the first fight of like the main card. Leighton J says, "Is it harder for Aussie fighters overseas in boxing than MMA?" It's different, man. Boxing and MMA are so different. One, in how the fights in the actual fight, but two, in the fact that the UFC is basically the controlling agent of mixed martial arts. That's the biggest. That's a pinnacle of the sport. Like there's Bellator, there's ONE FC, and they're growing and they're great organizations. But the UFC is by far the biggest, you know, and so they definitely run the show as far as that's concerned. And boxing's structured very differently as well. So is it harder for? It depends. It depends, man. It depends how you look at it. It depends the kind of backing you have in boxing as well. Like if you have the right amount of money, the right amount of backing behind you, you can go very far. Even if you're in, like Australian, doesn't matter where you're from. But for an MMA fighter, it's a little bit more clear cut. If you're good enough and you get into the UFC or you get into Bellator, you're within that organization, and you know you've got to put a few wins together, and you could be looking in good stead. And you can go over there into the UFC, and you maybe have 5 or 6 fights as a pro, and you could get in, you know, and you might fight another guy that's had 5 or 6 fights as a pro, and you know build yourself from there. With the boxing, if you haven't got promotion and name behind you, you're going to struggle a lot. Again, right hand landed by Sandstrom. throws a left hook, does Sandstrom. I wonder if Gonzalez is going to be able to lay some volume onto her. Gonzalez is trying to back her off, but Sandstrom's doing a good job of keeping the center of the ring. She cannot get backed up. It does not look good in the eyes of the judges. Nice little right hand landed by Sandstrom. 5 of 6 with 46 seconds to go in this round. 1-2 taken on the gloves by Sandstrom. Gonzalez throws it. Sandstrom throwing that jab down the middle. Then a right hand. Ooh, the jab. The jab is money for Sandstrom because Gonzalez throws that left hand lead, the left hook lead rather, and as she's throwing that, she opens herself up, and Sandstrom's able to land the jab straight down the middle. Ian Mars says, "Hey Fab, I take it you know Ngannou has only one fight left on his current UFC contract. Imagine the champ being a free agent, good or bad. You can't leave as champion though. On the 100%, there'd be a clause in his contract. He can't leave as champion and go fight in boxing and all that shit. There's a whole bunch of clauses in his contract. So yeah, that won't happen. Do you know what I mean? I know this because I've been there with it. So no, they wouldn't. He wouldn't be able to leave as a champ and go. But if by some miracle it would happen, like I mean, he could vacate the belt or whatever. But there'd be a whole bunch of clauses there that would not allow for him to do that. But very interesting. But the problem is he'd have to go to boxing to get the big boxing money, and he's whilst he's a super heavy hitter and a very very like dangerous man, I see his striking as being very very good for MMA. But boxing for boxing, if he was like that level of boxer, he would have already been boxing. It's a different animal, and his footwork is not the best for boxing. You see it in MMA, the way he shuffles his feet, the way he moves, and that he's a monster. Don't get me wrong. In MMA, he's a fucking monster. You know, because he generates so much power whilst being off balance with small gloves. But if he was to fight in boxing, like he'd have a great career, but I don't see him beating any of those like a Joshua or a Fury or someone like that. I don't see him beating them. Again, this is a 6 of 6, 1 minute and 24 seconds to go. Both girls leaving it all out there, and that's, I suppose, all that can be asked of them. It hasn't been a pretty fight, but both girls have shown a lot of heart. Big right hands being thrown by Sandstrom. Absolutely, a lot of heart by both girls. I really, really take my hat off to them. I like the fact that Gonzalez just keeps putting the volume on him. Gritty fighter is Gonzalez. Sandstrom's looking for those right hands and those jabs. But again, I see in this round, I'm kind of giving it to Gonzalez from what I see. I don't know how they've scored this fight. I don't know how this fight's being scored. I have no idea. But Gonzalez is giving a very good account of herself. Sandstrom, again, she's kind of gone away from, now she started with more output with 34 seconds to go. If Gonzalez can pour it on a little bit, I'd probably have to. Oh, now these jabs are being landed by Sandstrom, I beg your pardon. Nice right hand landed by Sandstrom. Both girls clinch up. There's 19 seconds to go. They're both trading shots. Not a huge lot of power. Gonzalez trying to finish strong here. Sandstrom wrapping up and getting a clinch. There must be only seconds left to go in this round. Sandstrom, ooh, I don't know who wins this fight. Okay. Hamatovi says, is there a reason boxing isn't fought barefoot? I imagine it have something to do with like Marks of Queensbury rules or something like that. Andre says, sorry, this is off topic, but would you like there to be more weight classes in MMA? Probably. I think so. And I think there will be in the future. I think there will be in the future. I think with a relatively young sport, you can't have too many weight classes because there's times where some of those weight divisions are still pretty shallow, in the UFC and whatnot. Not so much now. Now you're starting to get a lot of good guys, but yeah, you're still a few years off that, I think. Hyper Gaming says my prediction: Zoo by knockout round 3. Could be. Um, Andre says, how would you game plan for a fight against Ngannou? It depends, man, because you can game plan. It doesn't. This is what people don't understand. You can game plan, but that's a guy that he can clip you, and it's over. You know what I mean? Like he Ngannou is someone you have to try and make him work, man. You have to try and make him work. It's easier said than done. It's not a very easy thing. He's a super fucking freak, strong guy that hits so hard. And he's skilled. Like he knows how to counter wrestle. He understands what to do as well. He's not a heavyweight champion by accident. Um, I think that he has to respect your striking as well, and I think that I don't think that Stipe was doing the wrong things in his fight. He just got caught, and that's what people don't get. It wasn't like Stipe had a bad game plan or anything. He just got caught by a guy that hit super hard. Um, the thing that I do see with Ngannou is that I think making him work. Like if you can grab a single leg and make him hop, he's a big heavy, strong guy. Just making him hop, making him work. But you got to do all of that without getting knocked out, without getting hit by him. He only has to touch you. So it's a tough one, man. It's not an easy one. Making him use his footwork because his footwork is not the best. It's not the best. He knocks people out when he's off balance. He shouldn't even be able to knock you out with some of the shots that he throws, but he can fucking throw it. Ian Ma says, thanks. Almost forgot you would have personal experience. Great to hear it from a true source regarding the contract obligations. I don't know. I'm not putting it out there that anyone's contract said anything because that'd be against, I can't speak on any of that kind of stuff. They're about to give the decision out of who won out of the two girls. All I'm saying is that I'd find it extremely difficult to believe that they would let you walk out with the belt. That's all I'm going to say on that. But I can't like in my experiences, like with that, it's very rare that in any organization that like unless it suits them, they're going to just let you go out with the belt as a champion. They don't want to. Oh, it was a draw. That's a fair decision. That was a pretty fair decision. I can't say to you who won that fight. It was pretty close. Yeah, so like unless it's you fight like in a local show, then yeah, great. They want you to win their belt and then go and fight in the UFC. But nobody, not ONE FC, not Bellator, not any of the major organizations, definitely not the UFC, want their champion to walk away with the belt and then go fight in Bellator. No way, you know. Leighton J says, got to ask, been watching a lot of Klitschko fights recently. I was wondering how he would have done in the 90s era with Lewis and Mike Tyson, etc. It's funny, we were talking about that the other day. And one of the things I always say is it's very hard to compare people outside of their eras. Um, I I can't tell you who would do what, like it's not that easy. But I think Klitschko would be a lot more competitive with a lot of the greats, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. Uh, More than people would think. Like it might not be popular. He might not be a popular kind of guy, but you know, the current crop is pretty fucking good. Like Wilder, Fury, Joshua, like these guys are good, man. They would bash a lot of great boxers. So I don't know. I can't say to you he'd beat Lewis. I can't say to you he'd beat Tyson. You don't know that, but I can't say to you unequivocally that either one of those two guys would 100% beat Klitschko. I don't. I can't say that. You know what I mean? And you compare stuff outside of eras, it's completely different, dude. Like you just look at 100 meters, the 100-meter race. Dude's running 9.58 now as in as 100 meters. Like there's high school kids running, low tens to, you know, 50 years ago, that high school kid would have won the gold medal. So it's really hard to compare outside of eras. Mitch G says, BFF Martovi, you're onto it. The Hungarian hustler. Good evening, everyone. Let's go, Timmy Z. The only guy in the last couple of years that gets me interested in boxing. Yeah, man, he looks the real deal, man. I'm a fan, mate. I'm on the bandwagon. Beetlejuice says, "Hey, Fabskin, missed you, bros. How's things in the Gong? Very, very good, man. But it's been a bit rough with this whole thing with the lockdowns. But if you're going to be locked down somewhere, I, I'm happy to be locked down south. The beaches are beautiful, etc., etc. Interesting thing though, my mate, a couple of my mates were out surfing 2 days ago at the back of Coaldale Beach. Anyone that knows Coaldale, it's a beautiful beach. Anyways, they're out there at the back of the, they're out the back. So when I'm saying that, for those that don't know, it's that never surfed or anything. So when you see the waves breaking and it's all that white water, they're out past those breakers so that they can sit and catch a wave. And as they're sitting on their boards, one of them sees like a big splash, and he says to the other guy and to a couple other surfers that were out there, "Hey, put your feet up on the boards because I think there's a shark here." And as I was, no sooner had they said that, they just finished talking when this 3 meter great white breached, completely left, like completely jumped out of the water right near him, about 5 meters away from him. And everyone left the water at that stage, so they saw it twice. And then today they saw, I don't know if it was the same shark, but probably the same shark. If you know where Headlands is, the break Headlands, they anyone from the south coast, which is probably 400, 500 meters away from the other beach, for those that aren't locals. Again, the same thing. Another group of surfers were out there and they saw it like jump out of the water, big 3 meter shark, which is not as big as a great white can be, but they probably reports say that those are the most dangerous because they're still juveniles. They're basically teenagers, and they're the most dangerous ones. So I haven't been surfing, mate. I haven't been surfing. Hanoi Tripper says, "Hey Fab, does Zoo's opponent have any chance realistically?" I kind of addressed it earlier. Like, Zoo's a bigger man. He's a reasonably bigger guy. They weighed in at the same weight. The other guy's a little heavier, but that's not accurate because when they rehydrate, Zoo's going to be bigger. This guy's never fought at this weight before. So, and Zoo's skilled. He had a podium finish at nationals, bronze medals at 18 fights, 19 with this one as a pro. A lot of knockouts, 14 knockouts on, obviously he's been around boxing his whole life. So I find it very hard because I think that some of the stuff that Spark can box, but I don't think he's going to outbox Zoo, especially with the fact that it's like at late notice, And as far as the power goes, yeah, he can land a punch. Anyone can land a punch, but it's hard because they're both big hitters. And the bigger guy is going to have the advantage in that. If you're both big hitters and the other guy's bigger and he's a bigger hitter, then he's going to have the more of an advantage. So yeah, I mean, you always stand a chance. There's a possibility, but is it probable? I don't think so. I think it's like 9-1 odds or something that Zoo wins. Impugnavarada says, surely fewer weight classes is better in MMA. Nah, man, like you do need a few more weight classes. Ian Mars says, but if he fights his final fight on his deal, how can the UFC have any say in what he does after? Is this maybe why the interim heavyweight belt is being contested, UFC covering bases? Ian Mar, I would imagine that there'd be a clause in there that says you can't leave as the champion. Like, you can't leave as the champion. Like, you'd have to give your belt up. You know what I mean? You'd have to you wouldn't be able to walk off with the belt. That I'd almost bet like there'd be a clause in there that says you can't leave as champ. Because if you become champion, you wouldn't sit on necessarily the same contract as you were in before, So there'd be a clause. If you're champion, you can't leave. If you're champion, you can't do this. Or if you're champion, you can't do that. Blah, 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 blah. The UFC's contracts are very, very comprehensive in their favor. Which shouldn't really be as a shock to anyone. Luke Martin says Ngannou can be clipped too, and he's dumb as fuck. That's rather strong, Luke. That's rather strong. Beetlejuice says, but I do agree with you. I do agree with the fact that he can be clipped. You know what I mean? He can be clipped. His boxing's not like he hits like a truck, but his boxing's not like the level that people say it is, or that people think it is. That's not even that's not even a criticism, because the fact is that he can hit you from angles and off balance, and his boxing is getting better. It's getting a lot better, and he's going to be more and more dangerous as he progresses. Beetlejuice says, loving the new Fair One podcast, Lights on the Wall. When you change the name again, can I please have the lights? Sure. Yeah, man. If I change the name again, you could have them. But I hope not to change the name. And the old ones, I'm already giving them away to someone else. So the guys are walking in now for the next fight. Should be an interesting fight as well. Sorry, guys, just 1 second here. Okay. Luke Martin says, shoveling sand doesn't lend itself to intellectual pondering. Possibly not. Andre says, do you think Gane can dethrone Francis? I like that fight. I think so, but I think, like I said to you earlier, I think the the biggest thing there that I see is like the X factor with Francis is that he can hit you and knock you into next week. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing. I think that's the X factor. Can Gane put his can Cyril do what he needs to do? Can Cyril show something else? Can he make him work? Possibly. I don't think Francis will be the same fighter out of those 3 rounds. I just don't think he can carry that kind of power and that kind of like that same kind of strength and power later into the fight. I just don't see it, and I think that Gunn can, but I'd have to favor Francis in that fight. Yeah, this should be a good fight. I think Sam Ahsa is a very good, very very good boxer. Zah is very very experienced, but I think Sam is the more, in my opinion, the favorite in this fight. Nathaniel Charles says, "Hey Fab, chances of a MMA's fighters union, not zero, fucking zero. I don't think it would happen. I don't even know if union is the word or something, but there's not even unity within the fighters, like even without going into full blown union. But the reality is, if you look at the way the whole thing is amongst the fighters themselves, it's quite toxic. Um, the whole thing is about the fighters just shitting on each other and stepping on each other as much as they possibly can. And the reality though is that one guy will not fight for, I'm going to pick an arbitrary sum, $300,000, and the next guy will fight for fucking half of that. You know what I mean? So no, I don't see that happening anytime soon. And the UFC comes from, you'd have to Google them and make your own background check to see where that comes from, and you'll know that like they're not going to let any kind of unionization happen. Who was on my podcast? And I'm not anti UFC. I'm just saying what it is. I'm just not being oh my god, Kung Lee. Kung Lee was on my podcast. Watch that episode if you can, and he talks about the whole thing with fighter pay and everything. And there's been a lot of lawsuits against the UFC as well, but they're very very well armed, and they're very smart. They cover their own tracks and they cover themselves. So yeah, no, as far as a fighters union, no, I don't see it. Jared Smallbone says Khabib left with a belt. He hasn't left to fight in any other organization. So that's you can say, yeah, I'm retired. That's fine, but he wouldn't be able to go and fight in another organization. So yeah, that's what the thing is. No, they can't make you keep fighting if you don't want to fight, but you can't get the belt, leave as champion, and go. I guarantee you that Khabib would still be under contract with the UFC as far as him fighting. He wouldn't be able to just leave. There'd be an X amount of time that or whatever that he'd have to relinquish the belt. And he actually has relinquished the belt anyways, because now the others are going to fight for the belt. So he can't, there'll be a lightweight champion. He's no longer the lightweight champion. So that's a different thing. So Khabib actually relinquished his belt. If Francis leaves, relinquishes his belt and leaves is a different story. And there'd be a shit fight getting out of it as well. It wouldn't be as simple as thing. You'd have to see him fight in another one. Rob McKenzie says the Fair One podcast needs a music intro. I have one. We just it came out on the other thing. But we're off, people. Sam, a nice little jab from southpaw, straight down the middle, looking for a left rip to the body. He's already working the body, Sam. Oh man, he's throwing big rips to the body. Southpaw versus orthodox here. Tsar in the. Oh no, these both guys are in southpaw. The rips to the body by Sam are huge. Both guys in southpaw stance. Nice jab by Sam. Oh my God, Sam's just beating him to every punch. Tsar's coming forward, but those rips to the body by Sam are huge. And he's landing the jab and he's beating Tsar to the punch every time. Great work by Sam. Just his ability to land that jab straight down the middle is just so much faster. He's able to hit with relative ease. Now Tsar gets inside, throws a body rip, and then goes looking for a shot up high. Does Tsar. There's not a lot of lateral movement, not a lot of angling off and whatnot. Now Sam's just able to move out of the way. But Sam's just standing strong on his and landing big shots. He's landed good jabs, ripped to the body by Tsar. Nice work by Tsar. Tsar doing some body work of his own. But those rips with the left hand by Sam were pretty brutal early on in the fight, and that's hitting the liver as well. Nice little left hand lands, sneaks through by Sam. 2 left hands landed by Sam. Then a right hook lands by Sam, and another left hook lands by Sam. Tsar has a tremendous chin, and he's showing it off quite well. Tsar looking for a few combination punches for himself, trying to set him up with a jab. Sam very composed. Hassan Ahmed says, just popped in to say it's coming home. I'm assuming you mean the cup with England. Big shots landed by Sam. He has him rocked. Completely. He has dropped Tsar. I don't think Tsar's going to meet the count, and I don't think they're going to let him continue. Those were some big shots landed by Sam. Huge shots. There's 25 seconds to go. They're not going to let this fight continue. No way in the world. They're letting the fight continue. 17 seconds to go. Big shots landed by Sam. Yeah, they stopped the fight straight away. They stopped it immediately. That's Sam's TKO in the first round. Brutal punches. I think the ref did a good job there. He stopped it straight away. There's no need to let this guy get any more hurt than what he was already hurt. Big shots landed by Sam. Big shots. Tsar showed a lot of heart. A lot of heart. But the way he got dropped earlier in that combination, I didn't think that he was going to meet the count. And even if he met the count, I didn't think they were going to let him keep going. Some big shots landed there. The Hungarian hustler says, nice sign, Fab. Slick, neat, and tidy. I like it. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it, man. I really, really appreciate it. Luke Martin says, boxing is that thing that YouTubers do, right? Wow. Luke, I'm just going to ask you, do I know you, man? And I'm not asking it in a bad way. I'm saying, are you the Luke, the jiu-jitsu Luke? Is that you? Brian Dackers, if you are, I'll say hello to you. Brian Dacker says, "Hi Fabs, love your wisdom and expertise. Looking forward to your call. God bless you and your family." Thank you, sir. Thank you so very very much. I really appreciate it. Hold on one second, guys. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. I don't know how far my wisdom goes, but I'll do my best. Ian Mars says, at Luke, Garni doesn't have the scary power of Ngannou or Lewis. He's hardly Francis with a brain, more a Volkov with a tan. Interesting comparisons. Look, I do agree with you though that Gunn doesn't have that freakish one shot power that stops you. You know what I mean? And I think that that's always going to be the problem when you fight Francis. Having said that, though, I think he hits plenty hard enough that Francis is not going to want to just walk through or try and walk through those shots. So he'll hit hard enough. It doesn't have to hit super hard. Um, Somebody was asking about the intro music since we got a lull. There we go, guys. Yeah, but he hits hard enough. Like he can't just walk straight through the shots. You know what I mean? He can't just walk straight through Guns shots. EKSSF says, "Hey, what's up, Fab? You doing good?" I am, sir. I am. I was telling you that surfing story the other day. The surf was a little bit bigger than what I usually go out in. Luckily, I went out with. I never go out by myself. I go out with some guys that can actually surf, and my leg rope broke, and I was out the back, and I was caught in the white water. For anyone that doesn't know, that's when you get caught and the waves keep breaking on top of you, and they kind of hold you down. And I thought that was the end of Fab and the end of the Fair One podcast. But luckily, one of my friends, it's a very, very good surfer. Shout out to Sean. He was actually fucking rescued me, man. Like proper rescued me because the cord broke. My board left me. I had no board, and I was caught in the white water, and I'm not very comfortable like that. You have to be pretty good at surfing and that to be comfortable there. So he tried to talk me through it. Like he tried to say, "Hey, no, you're going to be all right. This is what you got to do." Blah blah blah. And I was, "Fuck you, get over here, man. I'm fucking drowning." But yeah, he was able to save me. So that's how I've been, man. Beetlejuice says, "Holy shit, that shark would have scared the juice out of me." Yeah, 100%. Luke Martin says, "You say he doesn't have the power, but of course he does." Hanoi Tripper says, "Damn, that shark breaching is freaky. Scary, dude." Um, Luke Martin says, "The difference in that putting that power in puts you in at risk. Barney doesn't do that. And hence the same brain you are missing apparently." Luke, man, listen, man. You can tell your opinion and everything, and you obviously seem like a knowledgeable guy. We all got a nice little community, a nice vibe here, and we really appreciate your feedback. But let's keep it nice. Ian Mars says, "Is the fair one your opinions or complexion? Were you a fair-haired one?" No, I wasn't. The fair one is an expression like when you have a fair fight. Um, Leighton J says, "I don't know if any truth to this, but Izzy and Rob at MSG." No idea. Probably. No idea. Jay Boxer says, "Hey, mate, how are you? Where's your mate from Paul fight?" We're in lockdown, man. We're in COVID lockdown. So he's at home. Um, Ian Ma says, "I understand that you don't agree, but you didn't need to broadcast your insecurities by your cheap insults." Yeah, like that's what I said before. Just keep it nice, guys. Keep it nice. Keep a good vibe here, man. We're just here having a chat, watching the fights. That's all we're doing. Um, Saying Steve says Stipe had stunned Ngannou before he got put out. Go back and watch it. Stipe wins in the trilogy whenever or if it happens. Look, I don't think, like I said to you, I don't think that Stipe had this like horrible game plan or whatever. Da da da. That's a fight game, dude. That's what happens. They can run it back, and it can be a completely different fight. Martovi says, "I get GSP vibes when I watch Ghani, but that's just because he's bald." Maybe. Rival mate says, "At the Fair One podcast, Zoo round 2 or 3, the prediction. What you thinking?" I don't know what round it's going to be, but I do think Zoo's going to stop him. I think Zoo is the bigger guy. I think he hits too hard. That's how I see it. This next fight will be a cracker, I think. Wade Ryan versus Troy O'Malley. Sage says, "Hey Fab, hey Sage, how you doing, man?" Juice says, "Hello all, hello coach. Yeah, ditto. The sign is sick. Thank you, sir." Um, Sam one, Sonchan, Sam one. Okay. EKSSF says, "Is that a good boy?" I'm assuming you're talking about my dog, and he does have his moments, man. He is a good boy. Juice says, "I recently took up kickboxing, first time ever training, and I was wondering how can I increase my punch speed, like combo speed? I guess is what I'm asking." Honestly, at this stage, if you just started, is just get to training, man. Get to training because a lot of that's got to do with your neuromuscular facilitation of your punching. Like your ability to just recruit the right motor units, the right muscles at the right time. Because right now you'd still be working against yourself. Like before you do any other stuff, like before you get into like strength and conditioning and going nuts, like you really need to learn how to like move your body, the kinetic energy the right way. Like that's why a lot of the times when you throw a right hand, it's very normal and natural for you to throw that left hook, because of the way that you're transferring the kinetic energy from your body. You go right hand and all your weight kind of goes to your left foot, and from your left foot you can load up and throw that left hook. So um just getting comfortable with that, practicing your combinations a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. That's going to be money for you, my friend. Trey says, I see Cyril moving around the cage similar to the way Miocic did, and Francis just walking him down until he eventually catches him. The problem is, though, that's not what happened. He didn't just walk Miocic down. Miocic was doing the right things. He was trying to make Francis wrestle. He was throwing shots at Francis, landing some shots at Francis. The problem is he got hit. So um, I see it being similar in some ways, though. I agree with you in some ways. Um, Jared Smallburn says, "Hey Fab, you surfed any beaches on the Central Coast?" Man, I haven't even surfed the beaches near me because I'm not a very good surfer. I've surfed a little bit around here, you know what I mean, around the South Coast, and but I'm not a good surfer at all. Like when I say I'm not a good surfer, I'm not even. I can't even say I'm a surfer. I'm like, if surfing had belts, I'd be a white belt with maybe one blue tip. Like they just gave me a blue tip just because I've been hanging around the gym kind of thing. That's why. EKSSF says, Fab, what are your thoughts on the way martial arts training is structured? Do you think there is room for improvement in the way most schools teach martial arts? Um, I wouldn't be able to tell you the way most schools teach martial arts because I think there's such a broad variance to the way so many places teach martial arts. I think the biggest thing in today's day and age, I think, is you have to find the appropriate place for you. That's my opinion. Not every place has to be a fight gym. Not every place has to be, you know, like a fun family place. Not every place has to be like that. So I think you as the client, and the problem is that as a client, sometimes it's like going to a mechanic. You don't know what the mechanic's doing, so it's hard for you to pick a good one. So if you're a first time starter, you don't always know if you're at the right gym or not. But I will say this, like you got to figure out what you want. Like if you want to fight, if you want to get in the cage and fight, you got to go to a place that's the reputation they have, and they're a fight gym. Um, but everyone goes to places for different reasons. The only problem I have is like sometimes people have, and this is BJJ gyms, wrestling gyms, whatever. But sometimes people have like these real misconceptions of what a real fight is. Like they go in there for self defense, and um, a lot of the stuff that they're doing is not that massively applicable to self defense. Like if you just go and do jujitsu because you like to do jujitsu, that's cool. Will you be able to defend yourself? Sure, you will. Yeah, 100%. But it's not, you're not this unbeatable bulletproof guy. So I think it just depends. It just depends what your objective is. If your objective is to have a place where people can improve their self defense a little bit and they want to have fun, and that's there's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to have hardcore fucking combat orientated gym, you know? You just have to make sure that you know what your objectives are as a client and that you pick the right gym because there is something for everybody out there. You know, there's a lot of places that like, you know, I wouldn't go, but I would be real careful as a client of not eating the fucking spoonfuls of dogma that you know people are throwing out there. Um, what round does Zoo win in? I think he stops him relatively early, in my opinion. Sage says, "Good to see your big, beautiful, shiny head was having a bad day, but you brightened it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir or madam. Um, I'm glad I was able to do that." Sage and Steve says, "Thoughts on McGregor's flat-footed stance lately compared to his old karate Rob Whittaker stance? How much of a difference does it make for his style?" I think I think if he's going to go in there and box, it made sense. You know what I mean? And it only didn't make sense when people saw the fight after the fight. You know what I mean? Had a McGregor landed a left hand on the chin of Dustin and dropped him, then everybody would be saying how much smarter McGregor was, blah, 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 blah. I think there was a lot of good things done in that fight. I think the people, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to have another show and talk about the McGregor fight. But I think there's a few things that happened in that fight. One was the stance. Um, Ironically, sometimes that bladed stance leaves you susceptible to leg kicks as well. McGregor hasn't really fought a southpaw that's kick heavy. He was meant to fight Dos Anjos, and that fight didn't happen. Um, but a kick heavy southpaw, if you think about it, he hasn't really fought him. He's fought southpaws, but not kick heavy southpaws. So that's the first thing I think that already changed things up for him. And Dustin was able to because when he fought Dustin the first time, Dustin wasn't a kick heavy southpaw. You know, now Dustin has incorporated those leg kicks into his game. That's the number one. I think the other thing is McGregor throws a left hand and he throws it across his body. And he does that. And again, not a criticism, you know, like even when I say like about Francis, I'm not saying he's not a good boxer. I'm saying he's not a good fighter. I'm saying these are the things that make it even difficult for him. The fact that he doesn't move like a conventional boxer and he can throw shots from different angles off balance and whatnot. But in McGregor's case, so he throws his left hand, and what he usually does is he backs the person up against the cage, and then he kind of opens the panel, like opens the door, so that you're able to get out. If you're gonna get out, get out. So that you start scooting to his right, and then he can punch across himself because he's got long arms. He's a big guy for both the featherweight and the lightweight division. Long arms, punches across himself, and he's able to because he hits so hard, he hits you and he drops you. That leaves you open to counter right hand with a counter right hook, the check hook, counter right hook, whatever you want to call it, which both Diaz and Poirier used quite well in their fights. And that's another thing that people talk about the leg kicks. The leg kicks were the most obvious thing. The change of McGregor's stance was a real obvious one. But the counter hooks by Dustin, if you go back and watch that fight again, they were really good. Dustin's counter punching on point, you know, so there's a lot of things, you know, it wasn't just the stance. McGregor made a mistake, he got leg kicked. No, there were a few other things that Dustin was doing. You know, Dustin didn't roll before. He didn't shoulder roll as much in the punches and nor as well, you know, as what he was doing now. And he's shoulder rolling and counter punching the way that he was doing the way, and he's gotten progressively better at it, you know, throughout his fights. Because the other thing that people think is, oh, he just changed his style. You don't, man. It doesn't work like that. You just see the progression that Dustin made, and then one day it's just it looks like he did it from night to day. But nah, he there was a lot of things that Dustin did as well. Like that counter right hand that he was getting out of the way of the left hand and landing that counter right hook. That was pretty impressive. So that's my thoughts. Sorry to be a bit long-winded, but that's my thoughts on that with the bladed stance and whatnot. I think we will see a return of the bladed stance for McGregor because it'll allow him to get in and out. And I think he's going to use front kicks and oblique kicks to keep Dustin a little bit further out from him and a little bit out of leg kicking range. Because like I've said to you before, you got to kick with the kickers. You can't capitulate that space. So they're going to have to kick as well. Um, Wavy Boys Will says, hard hitters born or made. You're born, but then you're made, if you know what I mean. Like a lot of that's got to do with the size of your hand. A lot of that's got to do with the size of your wrists. Um, they're big things that right off the bat you can tell if someone is going to hit hard or not. They've got big hands, thick wrists, fast twitch muscle fibers. Like dudes that can throw like a javelin far generally going to fucking punch hard. I got little. No, my hands aren't that little, but my wrists are small, so I don't hit that hard. And of course, you can improve how hard you're going to hit, but it's kind of like running 100 meters. Like you're either fast or you're not. You can improve how fast you're going to run, but if you're not a fast guy, you might improve. You might run a 12-second 100, which is decent, but you're not going to run sub tens. You know that's special. You got to be born with that. But here's another thing, wavy boy. Most people can hit hard enough to knock someone out, if you know what I mean. You don't have to hit like McGregor. McGregor hits fucking hard. That's someone that hits real hard. Um, like people hit hard enough, you know. And then there's other things you can do. Like you can do shit when, like with your timing and with your feints. Like if you faint and the person reacts, doesn't matter if they how they react, whether they close their eyes, bring their hands up. So if your timing gets good and you're able to draw this out of people, you can feint and throw your shot, and the person isn't ready to receive that shot, you know? So they don't see that coming, and they're the shots that hurt them. So you might not be able to hit that hard, but there's still a lot of other things you can do. And like I said to you, man, you'll hit hard enough. Like if you have like I don't know, a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, 8-year-old, and you let them punch you fair in the chin, you're going to feel it. So a grown man, even if he doesn't hit hard, but he can time what he does and set up what he does and hide what he does, he can land hard enough. Um, Sayan says, I think if we see McGregor come out light on his feet like he was against Aldo, and in the past he finishes Dustin, he could well do, man. Chuck Les says, I'm going with Tszyu with his technical ability. The last fight Steve had, he tended to block with his face a bit too much. I agree with you as well. Julius Banda says, are you a betting man, Fab? I am not. Dan Meaden says, cheers for the podcast, mate. Just wondering if you know if the Kambosos fight will happen. I have no idea. Zero idea. They should wrap Ngannou's gloves with bubble wrap, says Martovi. Connor Stevens says, as soon as Ngannou sprawled, I felt the fight was over. Such an insane improvement in the anti-wrestling department. Yes, but I'll tell you this, like, it's not just him stopping the takedown. If a guy can make him wrestle, whether he sprawls or whether he doesn't, you know, that's still making him work. The problem is he got caught, man. It's a fight. Joe Schmo says, good afternoon, Sir Fab. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you. Trey Warburton says, if surfing had belts, I'd be a white belt. I don't know if you're saying that about you, but I'm definitely a white belt. Julius Bender says, thoughts on the persona Connor's adopted since the last fight? I don't know. I don't usually watch that, man. Like I don't like. I think like if you like watching it, like you like watching soap operas or whatever, which I'm not having a go at you. Like I'm just saying, like if and it's fun and you like watching it, it's cool. But I don't watch any of that stuff, dude. I don't know. I just watch the fights and that's it. I've been around elite sport for 20 years, you know, so I know that 99% of the times that shit means nothing. It means nothing. Chuck Les says, because people aren't what you think they are. That I'm going to tell you is right off the bat. Chuck Les says, thoughts on Tuivasa versus Hardy. I'm hoping Ty wins. I'm hoping Ty wins as well. And I think Ty will win. If the fight goes longer than 8 minutes, Ty will give him the bash, I think. Nathan Raymond says, Connor is going to get leveled. Maybe. Okay. Rusty says, I agree. Hindsight is 2020. That's true, man. People like that's the problem as well. People watch the stuff like they watch it from Like, and I'm not bagging the analysts. It's good that you have analysts, but a lot of the analysts, when they analyze a fight, they slow it so far down. They go, see the way that he did this and blah blah blah. And it's not the same, dude. It's not the fucking same. Like, it's like me saying you should have all invested in Google, and people are like, invest what? Like, fuck, what are you talking about? We're off, people. This fight's going to be a cracker, I believe. We got Troy versus Wade. Troy's in the red shorts. So we've got Wade Ryan, the southpaw stance, versus O'Malley in the orthodox stance. Wade seems to enjoy a longer stance, like a longer reach, a longer advantage. Like, he's a much taller guy. They had a bit of a barn burner, I think, in the last fight. Pouring away with the jab is Wade. He's just sticking the jab out and looking for that left hand lead down the middle. Troy looking to fight and box his way in. Nice jab landed by Wade. Nice jab, flush in the head. O'Malley's just at this point in the fight, he's kind of stuck at the end of Wade's punches. Wade's changing his levels up and landing that left hand down the middle to the head and to the body of Troy. Troy now landed a couple of punches himself, but I think he's having a little bit of trouble with Wade's reach at the moment. But he's very tough, and this is a 10-round fight. O'Malley is. He's landing good shots. Is Wade. O'Malley starting to find a little bit more success and trying to get inside there. There's 1 minute and 24 seconds to go in this first round. Toby says, I think the McGregor stance change was an energy conservation thing, him wanting to outbox Poirier, who was well known for his boxing. It could be. It could be. It could be a lot of you get a lot more powerful boxing in a boxing stance than you would from bouncing in and out. Big left hand by Wade, but he's O'Malley's taking it on the gloves. But what I'm seeing already from the get go is Wade Ryan landing that left hand down the middle, landing it to the body, and he's landed it again. So he's probably landed that punch flush probably about 4 or 5 times early in this fight. In this first round, he's probably landed that left hand to the body. But now O'Malley comes in very, very strong right at the end of the round, and he's had some success backing Wade Ryan up against the ropes and landing some power shots there. Some of those shots did get through from O'Malley. And O'Malley knows he's found some success. And this might be the fight the whole time. The O'Malley maybe looking to gets hit with a counter left as O'Malley by Wade Ryan. Again to the body by Ryan. And in a 10-round fight, you've got to imagine that is going to take its toll. Big shots by Troy. Okay, sorry guys, I'm going to miss a few. I'm going to miss a couple of them just because it's hard to keep everyone on at the same time. Okay. Saying Steve says, love the live streams, mate. Hope everyone catches a donation virus after this one. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate any and all support, guys, to keep the podcast going. I really, really appreciate it, man. Thank you guys so much. Jed Kerr says, if Tim wins this, he has to go to USA and start fighting people like the Charlo twins. I think that's the plan. EKSSF says, how did you get started in martial arts? You were teaching wrestling when you first met Rob. I've been in martial arts my whole life. I think I started Taekwondo when I was like 5 years old, 6 years old. My mum put me in Taekwondo. And I just did that on and off, like always. And then I did wrestling and jiu-jitsu as an adult, and always like probably from around 15 years old, probably a bit older, probably about 16, 17 years old. Nothing serious. I never fought or anything in boxing, but I'd always trained in boxing, always mucked around with boxing. And yeah, that's I've always done martial arts. I never was like man, these guys are bombing. Sorry, guys, I'll go back to it. So Troy is throwing big bombs down the middle. There's a lot of mutual respect from both these guys, and you're really seeing like when people say like bad blood, makes a good fight. But I think when two dudes are legit hard men like these guys, and they got a lot of mutual respect, there's I really think that brings out the best fights. My opinion, these guys just fucking. There's no these guys can fight, man. These guys can really fight. This is the fight of the night. I called it, and I think Eli called this as well. And I think this is going to be the fight of the night. O'Malley's now starting to really understand his distance a little bit more. And he's starting to be able to get inside with Wade a little bit more. And he throws with bad intentions, does O'Malley. Um, Cameron Gaydon says commentate the undercard? Question mark. Yeah, these ones here. Yeah, O'Malley trying to get inside. There's 1 minute and 19 seconds to go. Ryan's been warned for pushing O'Malley down. The combinations coming from both guys. Nothing has landed flush yet. Oh, nice little left hook lands by O'Malley on Ryan. He's pushed Ryan up into a corner. Nothing's landed flush. I like that Wade keeps looking for that left hand down the middle. I really like it. He's throwing that left hand to the body of Troy. Then he lands a left hand to the head of Troy. These combinate nice. Starting to land his right hand. He's starting to find a little bit of range. Here's Wade Ryan. You got to wonder how many shots like that O'Malley can take to the body without it starting to really slow him down. O'Malley doing some body work of his own at that point in the fight. Jason Smith says, anyone got a link for the stream? Please don't start this shit. Jay Boxer says, spark to win due to Tim being cocky. Fair enough. Randy says, yo, Fab, love the new sign. Thank you, Randy. You are a champion. EKSF says, also, what are your thoughts on belts in martial arts? Do they cause splits within the group or are they necessary mark for accomplishment? Is it a gym to gym thing? I think you'd have to specify the martial art, EKSSF. You'd have to specialize that. You'd have to tell me which martial art specifically you're talking about, like jujitsu or whatever. I think like boxing and wrestling don't have belts, and they're two of the longest living martial arts ever. Um, so I mean, you don't have to have a martial art. You don't have to have a belt for you to be able to grade because I think if they're traditionally based in competition, so whoever wins, etc. Da 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 da. I think it's nice. Again, it goes back to your objective. Are you a guy that you want to go and do jujitsu and say, I've done it for X amount of time and I've gotten this belt or I've gotten that belt. Just because you want to know where it is and you want to get the tick, you want to say, I want to roll and I want to get my black belt, then that's great. Like for me, honestly, like I said, like mainly I gravitated towards boxing and wrestling. I wasn't good at either one of them specifically. Wasn't like by any stretch of the imagination, but I like them and they're the sports I practice the most. And with the jiu-jitsu, I do more no-gi type of stuff, and I've never really given too much importance to the belt system. Not at it from a disrespectful perspective. I just think of like it wasn't the background I came from, and I played other sports and that don't really have that measuring stick, so if you will. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if you tell me specifically what you mean, like which martial arts you're talking about. That then yeah, I'd be able to give you probably a better answer. Um, Again, so both guys coming out. This is the third of 10 rounds, and for anyone that doesn't know, man, fighting 10 rounds, 10 3-minute rounds is ridiculous. So hard, so hard, so stupidly hard. And with the amount of shots that these guys take, it's incredible. Wade's starting to find his distance a little bit more. He landed a little counter left hand. Now he's landing some more combinations. Troy's starting to punch his way in again, but Wade's starting to get a bit of a measure in this round, anyways. Nothing's landed clean, nothing's landed flush, but those little like left hand leads, then he switches them for jabs, does Wade, and he's starting to land them a little bit more every time on Troy. And he's still going to the body is Wade. Troy punches his way in, comes inside. Now he's split. Troy's split. I don't know if he's split from a headbutt or from a punch, but he's definitely split now. And I think it's a pretty bad cut and it's in a bad spot. It's above the eye. Wade hits him with a nice little right hand inside. Troy does a good job of finding his way in and landing and has some success when he does it. But I think he's struggling a lot with just Wade's straight punches. That left hand to the body, you can tell that Troy felt that one. Troy looks for a lead uppercut on his way in. Both guys kind of trading inside, but Wade steps outside. He doesn't want to fight inside with Troy. Troy looks to be the heavier puncher of the two, but Wade's doing a great job of just keeping him at the end of his punch. EKSF says also, when you were part of the fight team with Rob, how did you go about establishing a culture within the group? Um, I think that's a big question, eh? That's a big thing. I wasn't fully responsible for the culture in the group necessarily. Um, I don't know. I think when you there's a whole process when you establish a team. I don't know if I'm going to have the time to discuss it here in this particular podcast now that we're doing, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. But to put it in a nutshell, both guys touch gloves at the end of the round. To put it in a nutshell, you all got to be going towards a common goal. You know what I mean? There has to be trust and there has to be the ability to have conflict. Once that's gone, you don't have, and you can't have conflict without trust. So you have to have a level of trust and you have to have a mutual goal that you're all going for. Uh, that's in a nutshell. That's like a whole thing. You'd have to sit down and talk about it. Um, let me see. Sorry, guys. Yeah, 9-1 odds or something ridiculous for Tim. Stainless Stove says Kostya Tszyu was before my time. How significant was he in the fight community and fans during his time? How big was he comparable to current fighters' fame? How do you feel watching Tim now, years later? Thank you very much, I really appreciate it, Stainless Stove. That's a picture of me. I just saw that. Oh my god, the cut here. I don't know if the doctor's saying they're going to stop the fight because it's a pretty big cut. The doctor said they can keep going. He's going to keep going. He's O'Malley, super tough stuff, man. This guy's tough as nails. I think I have no doubt he'd keep fighting no matter what happens to him. But I do think that where that cut is, it's going to get reopened at some point here by one of Wade's punches. I don't know if now that's given O'Malley more of an incentive to keep going to punch even harder. He lands a big right hand on Wade at that point. Man, I'm going to get to this question in a second, man, but these guys are throwing fucking leather. These guys are throwing hard, man. Big shots landed by Wade, but they're not actually landed. Like O'Malley took them all on the gloves. Now O'Malley's trying to fight his way in, throwing big combinations. He's up inside now, got in there with a kind of like a peekaboo style. Nice 1-2 landed by Wade. Wade lands a little right hand over the top again. A check hook by Wade and then followed by a left hand. O'Malley answers with a right hand of his own. Man, O'Malley now is punching. He's landing some shots there. Even though Wade took him on the gloves, those right hands that O'Malley threw kind of stopped, like rocked him for a second. But Wade again lands a good combinations at the end of that. And he's landing that left hand. He's not landing a flush, but he's landing it. Nice little combinations taken on the gloves by O'Malley, but still not. It wouldn't be nice. And that cut starts to reopen again, and it's pouring blood. And I think that's going to start to affect his eyesight. And Wade's starting to land those shots, and he's starting to land them with a bit of pepper. O'Malley's got the biggest heart, man. He's in there fighting. There's for sure the blood's in his eyes. Oh, ripped to the body again by Wade. Oh my God. Champion effort by O'Malley. But it's a nasty cut. Oh, left hand lands by Wade down the middle. Right on the chin of O'Malley. O'Malley showing off a very, very good chin. 50 seconds to go in the fourth round of a possible 10. with O'Malley taking a lot of shots, a lot of punishment. Okay. Now O'Malley's coming after him. There's 23 seconds to go. Big combinations by Wade. O'Malley takes him on the gloves, but when Wade keeps O'Malley at the end of his punch, he looks fantastic. And O'Malley, when he gets inside, does some damage, man. So I love watching this contrast of styles. I love watching it. It's contrast of styles all the way down to the fact that it's orthodox versus southpaw, and both guys exponents of it with a big heart displayed by O'Malley. O'Malley's got a nasty, nasty cut. Again, I think they're just going to close this cut up with Vaseline and adrenaline and let it keep going. Kostya Tszyu, how big was Kostya Tszyu? Was fucking huge. In Australia, he was huge. He also unified the belt. You know, he beat, oh man, he got me now, but I think it was Zab Judah, Shambe Mitchell, and somebody else. I can't think of the guy's name right now. But anyways, yeah, he was the real deal. How big was he in Australia? Huge, man. In Australia, he was huge, and everyone knew who he was. The Zab Judah fight that he had was fucking insane. Google that fight if you haven't seen it. So yeah, that was pretty big. Um, the guy coaching me was talking about getting his belts, and he said he had to fight 25 guys in a row for one belt, and the next belt was 50. Is this still how people get their belts in kickboxing? Again, not everywhere does belts for kickboxing. Kickboxing is another sport that doesn't generally do it. If you fight 25 guys in a row, like you know when they had the 100-man kumites and that in karate, like I'll tell you something now, like without I'm not disrespecting your coach or whatever. I don't know the stand. I don't know how he was, and I'm sure he's a fucking tough guy, and he'll beat the fuck out of me. I'll tell you this now. You don't have to be that tough to bash me, anyways. But if you've ever Shark Tank someone, like you ever been in a Shark Tank or whatever, it doesn't matter how good a person is. If you fight someone, you do 3 rounds proper fighting with someone, and then you put a fresh guy in to do another 2 rounds, and then a fresh guy after that, it's very fucking hard. It's very, 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 very hard to actually fight 25 guys that are around your level. It's it's uh, it's actually fight them. It's not really. That's not really what's going to happen. Look, any doing anything like that is hard. Like, so all those like kumite, like 100-man kumite and all that. That's all fucking cool. It's not, um, again, not like what's a criteria that we're using to give the belt? If that's like for you to be like a hard as fuck guy, then yeah, man, that's awesome. But if you're you know, martial arts classes today, like, and it depends who your class is for. If you got a guy that's like a father of three, accountant during the day, and he wants to come in and do 3 jiu-jitsu classes a week, he doesn't want to compete or whatever, he's not going to be that guy. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to have to grade him on a completely different objective. It doesn't mean that his belt means any less. It just means that his belt is he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu or fucking karate or whatever, but under that criteria. Do you get what I mean? He's not a competition black belt. And I think that they're very different things. I think O'Malley's in a lot of trouble. He's been dropped. O'Malley's been dropped, man. He's in a lot of trouble. He got wobbled earlier in that round. Then he ate some big shots then by Wade. Now they're going again. Big left hand down the middle by Wade. 53 seconds to go. Oh, nice shots. Nice shots by Wade. O'Malley's in a lot of trouble, man. His eyes busted up. He's been dropped. He's been hit again with a big left hand by Wade. Wade's coming in with strong combinations. There's 31 seconds to go. The fifth round of a possible 10. O'Malley's taken a huge amount of punishment. That cut to the head does not help him. Does not help him in the eyes of the judges. It doesn't help him to see better. It doesn't. It's brutal. He has got the biggest heart. He's taken a lot of punishment. Oh, This guy, Juice says, also just realized boxing the only martial art without a belt system. Again, like I said, a lot of places don't grade kickboxing like that. A lot, Muay Thai doesn't really have a belt system. Boxing doesn't have a belt system. Wrestling doesn't have a belt system. Catch wrestling doesn't have a belt system. Um, and a lot of your traditional martial arts, like your traditional cultural wrestling, they don't have belts. You know, and I think like even with judo, it's competition geared judo is not, the other belts aren't really matter because you're what you do as a black belt is really what counts because the Olympics, etc. Da da da. It's all a black belt. Um, so I'd even put kind of judo up there. The thing is, when you commercialize a martial art, you have to have all those belts for people for the reasons I said before. You're selling that to mums and accountants and lawyers and that. It's so you need to have that. JV says, "Hey Fab, who's your favorite boxer of all time?" Oh, man, there's so many, man. There are so many. But when you say that, without um, Pernell Whitaker, Pernell Whitaker, may he rest in peace, um, was right up there, and De La Hoya right up there as well. Um, Now, other guys like Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvelous Marvin Hagler, um, Joe Lewis, all those guys, they were before my time. So I can't really say I could have appreciated them in the same way. Like I remember buying the fights with my friends when De La Hoya fought uh fucking I just said his name before. Pernell Whitaker. I remember going and getting those fights, and I ordered it on at my house, and I had it, and then I had the VHS tape of it, and then I was the man because I had the VHS tape. Um, Thank you so much for your support, Stainless Stove. I really appreciate it, man. Really, really appreciate it. So there's 1 minute 33 seconds to go. Six of a possible 10 big shots landing by Wade. Troy O'Malley is completely split open. Lands a nice little jab on Wade himself there, but he's looking the worse for wear. And you have to wonder how much of a toll are those body shots taking? Because that was the first thing I noticed in this fight. The amount of body shots that Wade Ryan landed in that first round. Nice left hand landed by Wade. Then he hits him with a hook as he's retreating. And O'Malley's taking a lot of shots. Trying to come forward is O'Malley. Wade Ryan throws a left hand himself, a nice left hand. Nice left hand thrown by Wade Ryan. Caught him with a little kind of hook as O'Malley came in. Wade caught him with a nice little left hook right on the chin. But again, O'Malley has a great chin. He's been robbed. He's been dropped already today, but he does have a great chin. And what a fight, ladies and gentlemen! This is a good fight. I think Wade Ryan has more or less run away with this fight at this stage, but still, nonetheless, it was a very impressive performance. Super tough is O'Malley. Martovi says, waiting for one of the boxers to throw a spinning elbow like the great Fab did in his fight against the biracial angel. Not many people can do that, mate. Kostya got me right into boxing and I stopped watching much at all when he retired. Man, Kostya Tszyu was another guy I always liked that. Like, I always liked watching his fights and that. Cameron Gaydon says, don't really see how Tim can call himself a world-class fighter when he hasn't fought out of Australia. He's fighting people he knows he'll win at and just building his resume. Just my opinion. Your thoughts? I mean, there is the fight was stopped. The fight was stopped, and fuck, you can't question O'Malley's heart, man. It was a really, really big show of heart. But you know what, man? I think it's great when they stop fights like that because you don't want to see the guys get hurt, and being tough is just going to get you hurt. Um, no, but I think that Tim's doing what he has to do, man. I like whilst that there is truth to what you're saying, but I think like what do you want him to do? Do you want him to go and fight like he has to build not only his name and his resume, but he has to build uh, fight experience. He has to build that fight experience and build that big fight experience. That's a big thing. That's so yeah. Um, and who was the last famous Aussie boxer before Kostya Tszyu? Fennick or Harding? I think how popular and massive Fennick was in the like 80s kind of thing was massive, was huge. Fennick was huge in Australia, huge. Sage1223 says, protect Fab at all costs. Thank you, sir. Thank you. EKSSF says, I recently did some BJJ at the gym I teach at, and they start by lining up according to belt grade. This causes the beginners to almost never interact with the veterans. Um, I thought that was silly, but a lot of people in the gym said this is how it's done and how it should be. I think, again, I think that jujitsu, the belt system and that, it was structured for corporate people. If you get what I mean, it's not. It's the whole belt system is something that people understand. They understand hierarchy. They understand the belt system, and I mean, it works. You know what I mean? It works from that perspective. So yeah, like it's made for that kind of people. With the hierarchy and the corporate hierarchy and all of that. Matthew Leslie says Kostya was loved. Pubs were packed for his fights. Always, man. And especially in individual sports, if you're winning, they're gonna love you, no matter no matter what. I'll be back in a sec. And says, yeah, that's right. Even the RSLs were always stacked to the rafters when Zoo fought. Yeah, 100%. It was massive. My wife lit these candles here in this room, and I don't know what they are. They're like lavender or some shit. But you're not allowed to turn these candles off because they got to burn for 4 hours or some shit before they're allowed to be turned off. And then only then, and then there's like a special way to turn these candles off. They're making me feel sick, to be honest with you. Um, Connor Stevens says Wade's face kind of reminds me of Wonder Boy. He's like Wonder Boy's rough ass brother. You know what I mean? They got separated at birth, and he went and got raised in the mines or something. Sage says Fabricio, God of everything. Nah, man, I'm not that good. Zab Judo's fight was hilarious. That was a crazy ass fight. I was working in an RSL. I was working in the RSL when they like I was working in the bar at an RSL. I was like 19 years old, 18, 19 years old, and they and Zoo fought. And I was going for Zoo bad against Judah, and yeah, and he won, and the whole fucking pub erupted. Um, the Rick says, "Have you done predictions yet, bro? For what? Nice profile picture at Sage1223. Yes, thank you. Sage says, Fab, you make my butt clench when you get excited out of nowhere. I suppose it's a compliment, so thank you. Dave Kavanagh says, how long before the fights start? The main fight, like Zoo, won't fight for a while, man. There's a few other ones to go. Like so There's 2 more fights before the Zoo fight. Gaddafi. Thank you so much, Gaddafi. Thank you very much, man. I really, really appreciate the support. I can't explain to you guys how much the support means to us, and I really, really, really thank you guys. So thank you very much for any and all support. It really helps to run the channel. It helps me to keep doing this. So thank you very much, guys. Really means a lot, man. Really, really means a lot. No one's fighting right now. The fight that just ended was the Wade Ryan versus Troy O'Malley fight, and Miles Zalewski versus Lee Fook are about to fight now next. Um, Jack Bolton asks if I ever watched Zoo back in the day, and the answer to that is a resounding yes. We spoke about it earlier. Um, Jordan says, "Are you still working with Rob, mate? What happened to the podcast with him?" Jordan, my friend, that one's been done to death, my buddy. Yeah, it's been a long time now. We're going on to about 2 years since Rob's been on this podcast, or a year and a half, or whatever, however long it's been, a year or whatever. But I haven't worked with Rob for, I'm gonna say, about a year and a half at this stage. So we haven't done a podcast together in like a year and a half. Um, Sage, the Hungarian hustler says, "My friends and I were so excited for the Zab Judah versus Kostya fight, and we were only in early high school back then. Everyone knew of Kostya, young and old." Yes, sir. Dave Kavanagh says, "Did you work the bars in Parramatta or Blacktown? I used to DJ at Tiffany's and Para Leagues, etc." Um, yeah, I probably did Parramatta a couple of times, but I worked mainly in Liverpool at the RSL in Liverpool, and I worked in some places in the city and that. But yeah, mainly Liverpool, the industrial and cultural center of the Southern Hemisphere. Who won the last fight? Wade did. EKSSF says, "Hey, cheers for the answers, Fab. I need to go do some math. Take care, man. Dustin Salon Quality Hair Bless." Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Go enjoy doing your maths. Zoo is loosening up at the back. His hands are already wrapped. And so Spark. Spark is looking nice and relaxed. He's having a laugh with his teammates at the back. Everyone's got their masks on, and I would strongly encourage some social distancing. Um, David Kavanagh says, "I used to DJ at Flashes in Liverpool." I'm not familiar with that place, man. I'm not familiar with that place. It might have been before my time. What year are we talking about? What era? Ryan David says, "Who do you think has this fight tonight, mate? Out of Zoo and Spark?" Zoo. Zoo's going to win that fight. I think he's going to stop Spark relatively early, inside 5. Um, Jack Bolton says, "I watched Judah versus Zoo in the local pub with my old man when I was 16. Always an exciting fight with Zoo." Yeah, man. Crazy, crazy. Because he's such a heavy hitter, man. His son's a heavy hitter too. But when you have a heavy hitter like that, it makes a massive difference. Huge difference. Um, Trey Warburton says Zoo will win KO TKO around 7 or 8. Yeah, could. I think Zoo's gonna win, but I think he's gonna win it probably earlier than that. Juice is cross stepping a bad habit. Like, how does a fighter like Purnell become a cross stepper, or any fighter without a coach trying to coach it out of them? I think Purnell Whitaker, if you took when you're talking Purnell, you're talking about Purnell Whitaker. He was just like a savant, dude. Like, you can't really teach that. You know what I mean? You can't teach any of that stuff that he did, or any of the stuff that he was good at. Um, he was a switch hitter, more than anything. So he allowed his hip movement and his ability to move his head movement was just phenomenal, dude. Like, there's you can see footage of him, like in the highlight reels, of him like basically sitting on the lowest rope, just moving his head. As the guys. This is like professional fights. The guys are swinging for the fences and he's dodging all the way down. So not a bad he's like a bad example. You know what I mean? Because he's an alien. Ryan David says, "So you think no upset? Stevie can punch." I know Stevie can punch. He does. He definitely can punch. I don't think we're going to see an upset. We could see an upset. I don't think that he's a puncher, but Zoo's a puncher too. Like they can both hit hard, and Zoo's the bigger guy. Uh, Spark is never fought at this weight before. They weighed the same at the weigh-in, but they're not going to weigh the same in the ring. Zoo's quite a bit bigger than Steve. So while Stevie can punch, carrying that into another division when you've only got a short prep as well, Zoo's just a bigger guy. He's going to hit harder. He's going to get him out of there, I think, in the fourth, fifth round, something like that, if I had to guess. Martovi says, my mate who lives in Melbourne trains in Zarafa's gym and he's a sparring partner or something. He just got his first sponsors but can't fight because of his braces. Nice. And what's the cost, mate? What's he say about Zarafa? Nath J says, what's your take on George Kambosos? I think Lopez is severely underestimating him. I think Kambosos is a very good fighter. I think Teofimo is a fantastic fighter, as was evidenced by his last performance. I don't know if he's severely underestimating him or not. David Kavanagh says 90s in Liverpool and also Sweethearts in Cabramatta. Fuck. Look at this guy, mate. Going down memory lane. Yeah. So I finished high school in 98. So I was working in that probably 90, 98, 99. So end of 98, I was working in the bars and all that stuff. Ballon Brown says, how much is the fight and where do you watch it? Cheers. I'm just watching it on KO, I believe, on KO Sports, and I'm not sure how much it was, probably $60. Son Chen says, Liam Wilson versus Joe Noinay. Who do you think will win? I think probably Liam, if I had to guess, just because you're asking me like that. Hungarian Hustler says, what was your prediction Fabio Zarafa's fight was tonight? I think that Zoo would beat Zarafa, in my opinion. Ryan David says both 69 kilograms. Yeah, but he doesn't fight at 69 kilograms. Zoo fights at that weight, but they'll weigh in. By the time fight night comes around, by the time the fight will come around, Zoo will be 76 kilos. Easy, 70, maybe more. 76, 77 kilos, maybe more. And Spark won't be. Spark might be 71. The other thing is Spark cuts down to fight at 64, 67 kilos. It's a big difference. A big difference. It's not what you're weighing on fight night. It's what you walk around at, what you rehydrate to, how big you are. It's not just how heavy you are, it's how big you are as well. And Tim is the bigger guy. Cameron Gaydon says, what round do you see the fight going to? I see it stopping relatively early, to be honest with you, because they're both hitters. And the fact that I think Spark's believes in himself and he's going to try and hit him is also going to open that up a little bit. Hungarian Hustler says, and if Tim wins, what's your thoughts on him fighting Zarafa? Should he try to get a fight overseas and forget about him, or only take a fight with him if he can't get a fight overseas? I think Tim has to do what makes the most sense. You know what I mean? It depends what the public wants as well with Zarafa and him. If the public in Australia want to see him and Zarafa fight, and you're going to get bums on seats, and you're going to sell, and you're going to get a good payday for it, then why not fight Zarafa before you fight overseas? But if Liam Wilson, 2020 Australian knockout of the year, oh my God, that guy was so hurt. Yeah, this guy can box. I think I see Wilson beating him quite convincingly in this fight. Yeah, why not? But the big money's overseas, obviously, and the big names are overseas. Again, it just it depends on how things come across, like how things are presented to you, as to what his decision's going to be, what's best for him, what's best for his family. Is he going to, yeah, it all depends. Depends what they offer him overseas. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to go there and get called up on late notice and take a fight and blah blah blah. Because you're not, you know, he's got a big legacy to deal with. You know, so it just depends what I guess what interest there is in the Australian public seeing Tim Tszyu fight Zarafa. Joe Schmo says, "Good evening, Sir Fab. Good evening to you, my friend." Um, so I'm going to skip a few, man, just here because, um, okay. Ryan David says, correct, it's not. But if Zoo fights tonight at 76 kilos after 69 kilos yesterday, he's all fluid, not muscle on top. No, the way weight cutting works, when you cut weight, right? So you lean to begin with, and you lose all the water that's in your body. You step on the scale, and then as soon as you step off the scale, you rehydrate. So when you rehydrate back to what your natural weight is. So when like the other guy, he's hydrated at 71 kilos. You're hydrated at 76. You're a lot bigger guy than him. That's how weight cutting works. Um, So Jay says this fight is streamed in the States with viewers over there watching Tim. Can't afford to take his time. Chuck Les says, was Fennec right about the politics in the US boxing scene? The politics in the fight game is massive. It's huge. Fucking massive. Trey says, how long roughly till the fight, you reckon, bro? At least an hour, I'm going to guess. I'm just guessing. The Liam Wilson fight's about to start now. Um, oh, no. The Miles Zaluski fight versus Lee Falk is going to start now. David Kavanagh says, great talking with you, Fab. I'll message you later about the old days in Sydney. You sound Maltese. Nah, I'm not Maltese. My mum and dad are from Uruguay, but I grew up in that speech pocket, I suppose, and there were a lot of Maltese people in that running around at that time. Do get mistaken for Maltese. Liam Wilson's actually about to walk in now. I don't know if the Lee Fook fight's going to happen. If the Lee Fook fight doesn't happen, then I think it's Tim Tszyu straight after it. Um, Buster Douglas says, how's the fights gone so far? Be out at dinner with the family. Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Like a bit mismatched kind of thing, but good. Like the one I thought was going to be fight of the night, it actually got stopped pretty early due to a cut, which I think was a good stoppage, but it gave really good account of himself. This kid, Liam Wilson's very, very talented. Trey Warden says, I'll be back soon. Toyota Super says, Tim is next. Yeah, so the fight got the other fight, for whatever reason, isn't up. So yeah, we're going to see Tim Tszyu after this one, and I don't think this one's going to go the distance. David Kavanagh says, I went to school at Bankstown Boys. Even though I'm Aussie, I might be Lebanese. I lived in Thailand for 17 years. You sound like an interesting guy, David Kavanagh. An interesting guy. Street Heat says, what are you watching the fight on? I'm watching it on KO. I'm watching it on KO. Very talented kid, this Liam Wilson kid. Very, 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 very talented. Joe Noinay is a very experienced fighter, but I don't think he's going to get past Liam. I just see Liam. I think he's one of the big things in Australian boxing that's coming up. Is KO pay per view? Yes, sir. Yes, it is. Says Martovi. So Noinay is walking out. Very experienced fighter. I think, but like I said, I think Liam is one of the people to watch in Australia. Ryan David says, I think Liam Wilson will be the next big thing. I agree with you, sir. Mason Hawk says, got a link for the fight? No, sir, I don't. Ryan David says he can box. Yes, sir, he can. Yes, he can. He can definitely box. Buster Douglas says, yeah, thanks, bro. This Sergeant Wilson is not bad. I've seen him on the Gallon Brown undercard. Is this the co-main event? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So both men are age 25. The height advantage by 3 centimeters, 176, is Liam Wilson. The reach, Liam Wilson has a 4-inch reach. Weight is the same. And yeah, man, but I just see Liam winning. I don't know, man. Street Heat says, "Is Tim the real deal, or is he just fighting bums?" No, I think he's the real deal, and I think there's been some tough guys in there, but he's been brought along correctly. You don't want him, you don't want to push him too much too early. My Toby says, "I never knew Tough was on KO, but it was a lot different to what I thought it would be. I thought they'll show how fighters train, prepare for the fight, including weight cut." My Toby, I don't know what they show. What do they show? I believe they probably try and show a lot of the drama. Would I be correct in that? Ryan David says, "I don't think this will go the distance. Liam round 6." I tend to agree with you. I think that Liam wins this one convincingly. He is the B side. He is the B side. Obviously, Noinay having the belt, but I just see Liam winning the fight. Although the Filipinos, man, they can fucking fight. I'll give them that. They can break dance, fight, play basketball, sing, dance. Very jealous of them with a lot of things. Um, Good on them. Good on my Filipino friends. They know that it's true, and that's not even a bad thing. They got a lot of it covered. They can fight, sing, dance. Mate, what else do you want? Play basketball? Ryan Kennedy says, "Just show the fight." Sorry, buddy, I can't. Buster Douglas says, "Sorry, bro. Don't mean to bombard you with the messages. Has that Filipino guy fought yet? If so, how did he go again? Sorry, it was having tea with the family." Um, the Filipino dude is Noinay, I believe, against Liam Wilson. They're about to fight right now. They touch gloves. Martovi says, "Yeah, this is," and they've been looking at the backstory of the contestants. I think Volk said they sort of rushed it this season, and the first couple of episodes were all filmed in the first week. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Ryan David says Filipinos can fight like a rock, heart like a lion, but their jaws can't back it up. I don't understand what that means. But we're off, people. We're off. Joe Noinay versus Liam Wilson. I do believe Liam will get the win. Liam's already stalking him. This is a classical Southpaw versus Orthodox matchup, and Liam is in the Orthodox stance. He's got his foot outside the lead foot of None, and he's already looking for shots to the body. None counters with the left hand. Liam enjoys the reach advantage, and he definitely fights like the longer fighter and doing a good job of getting in and out. Good job by Liam. He's holding his ground and he's moving None along the peripheries of the ring. Right hand to the body by Liam. Now Liam switches to Southpaw himself. Very technical fighter is this Liam. Lands a nice rip to the body of None. Landing nice little jabs is Liam. Liam's getting a count. His glove touched the ground as a result of a punch. I don't think it was much in it, but his glove did touch the ground. Nice little left hand by None down the middle. Nice exchange by both guys. None can hit. Oh, None senses something here and he's coming forward, throwing big power. Liam staying very composed though. Ooh, there's little hooks inside. None's throwing big power now. He gets hit by Liam with the lead right hand. This is interesting because this round definitely goes to None then, with that drop. Yeah, don't post anything, please. Good exchanges here. Oh, a nice, there's a little slip there by Liam. Very active young fighter as well is Liam. They touch gloves. They go back to the respective rounds, respective corners, with obviously that the winning of the round by Noinay. Buster Douglas says, and Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua was looked after by great management, just like Tim Tszyu. Not bums they ever fought, just great management and growth fights. I agree with you. I I agree with that. David Kavanagh says, I've got a feeling Liam might lose this, Fab. I want him to win, though. He might. He could lose it. He got clipped behind the ear and his hands touched the ground. Noinay can hit. He can definitely hit. Xander Kazma says, don't send it on here. Do not send it on here. Do not. Um, we're off. Round 2 starts. So now clearly Liam is behind a round, you know. Liam back in orthodox, Noinay in southpaw stance. Noinay with a left hand lead down the middle lands on Liam. Liam very technical, looking for different angles, comes in, big power shots. They both exchange big power shots. Liam landed some, but Noinay stayed very, very composed. Liam goes looking for a right hand lead. Nothing doing. Hits Noinay with a nice little jab. Noinay very composed himself. He's looking for that counter left. And he finds a home for it. He glanced that off the chin of Liam. He swings hard, does Noinay. Very tough man. Very, very tough man. And good boxer too. Can hit. Noinay now is doing a good job of getting that lead foot outside of Liam's left foot. And he does so by using good little feints and gets his lead foot outside the lead foot. And then he's able to throw that left hand lead down the middle. Very cheeky the way he does it too. Um, Noinay goes looking for the body and then he goes up high. Liam's still staying very composed. It's a long fight. It's only the second of 10 rounds. Both guys very composed. That's another thing, like when you're talking about Tszyu, that you got to get used to fighting like the rounds. You got to get used to fighting in bigger arenas, etc., 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 etc. So I think the Zarafa fight would have been a great fight for him. So he might still do the Zarafa fight before he goes overseas. Oh, Noinay eats one from Liam there. Ate a right hand. Liam kind of shoulder rolled one of Noinay's shots and he hit Noinay with a jab, but Noinay threw a left hand that partially landed on Liam. Throwing with bad intentions is Noinay. Liam in the southpaw stance. They both touch gloves. They go to the respective corners. I don't know who won that round. Buster Douglas says, and thank you for the commentary. I appreciate it a lot. I would put Jade, I would put the card myself, but thought I would make it. I wouldn't make it. Glad I am. Noinay is a very good boxer. Some class him as a journeyman. I think he's more than a journeyman at 25 years old. Like I think he's more than a journeyman. He's not a journeyman. Um, the man says, Coach Fab, why is your podcast not called the Fab One Podcast? I just felt that the Fair One podcast was probably a better one. Jonathan Harwood says, someone give me the link. Fuck. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Yes, we will not be giving you the link. Um, so these guys as well in this fight, This is what's going to be very telling. They're coming out at a brutal pace to fight 10 rounds at this pace is hard. And one of these guys will drop off. I don't see them being able to keep this kind of like pace going for the whole 10 rounds. Let's see what happens. So again in the orthodox southpaw stance, Liam in the orthodox stance. It's the third round of a possible 10. They're throwing some big shots inside. Liam again goes to the body in the right. Like these shots to the body, man, I'm telling you now, like the shots in 10 round fights, there's whoever punches the body and lands big shots to the body like that has a distinct advantage when it goes down the stretch. You saw that in the fight earlier with O'Malley and Wade. Like Wade went to the body, went to the bank early, landed probably I said it in the first round, he landed like 4 or 5 huge right hands down the middle, boom, some left rips to the body, and he landed probably 4 or 5 big body shots early in the fight, and that's, like it's not just what you see, like it's like those shots that start to take their toll. Noinay ran into some signs. The boys the boys touched gloves and were about to keep going before the ref said, "Yeah, you can go. You guys can keep going." The ref stopped them, and then they just decided they were going to kick on. So Liam's doing a good job of kind of corralling Noinay into the ropes and into corners, but as he's starting to set those traps, Noinay has already set traps himself, it seems, and he's waiting to counter punch with big left hands, and big right check hooks. Overhand left by Noinay. Then he lunges in with a jab, much like a fencer. None of which have landed on Liam yet. Ooh, right hand over the top. That big hook over the top lands by Noinay. And he landed a right kind of behind the ear again. And Liam feints with the right hand lead, then throws a right hand lead and gets and connects. Again to the body by Liam and then to the head. He's got a very awkward style as well, Noinay, where he kind of lunges in on you and he lets you come in and then he tries to counter and take your head off with the left hand. Again, I'm impressed with Liam going to the body though now. I like the fact that he's starting to go to the body a little bit more. Oh, he snapped at Liam's head back, did Noinay, with a nice left hand. F6 Typhoon says Spark is a very hard hitting 140, so don't count him out. Although Tim Tszyu will win it, will be a good fight. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. He does hit hard. John Condrum says water in the basement, as Teddy Atlas would say. Absolutely. What time's the Zoo fight? Yeah, probably in about half an hour. No, Wade Ryan wasn't the co-main event. Hudson. Nice little hook landed by Liam there. But that left hand that he hit, Nene hit, Liam hit him right on the chin with a good little left hand, snapped Liam's head back. And they're going to keep going. Fourth of a possible 10, 2 minutes and 56 seconds in this fourth round to go. Liam again with a little left hook. Noinay inside, man. They're fighting in the pocket. Noinay seems very dangerous. Liam's got some nice punches in the pocket as well. But Noinay kind of loops a punch over the top, kind of like a casting punch, lands it with like the top of the knuckle kind of thing. Oh, left rip to the body by Noinay. Now Noinay is moving forward on Liam. Again, Noinay with good movement, good head movement. Liam hits him with a lead right hand. But now Noinay is starting to control the center of the ring a little bit more than Liam was. Liam was in the whole fight was more the one leading the dance, and now Noinay is starting to not back up into the ropes as much. As soon as I said that, he backed up into the ropes. Oh, right, ripped to the body again by Liam. Noinay with a left rip of his own. Now again goes to the body, does Noinay. The shots to the body, man, they're the things. They win titles. Body shots win titles. Oh, he's rocked Liam. He's rocked Liam bad. He started to land big shots. He landed a big left hook on Liam. Liam's in all sorts of trouble. He has dropped Liam badly in this fourth of a 10 round. He's rocked Liam. Liam's in all sorts of trouble. The ref's trying to count him. There's 48 seconds to go. Is Liam, even if he continues, is Liam going to be able to survive? Noinay's all over him. He's swarming. Liam's in a bad way. He's on ice skates. He's Liam. He swings with the right hand and misses. He knocks himself down to the ground. But they're counting that as a take. They're counting that as a knockdown. Liam's in all sorts of trouble. He's in all sorts of trouble. The referee's talking to him. He's got 27 seconds to survive. Noinay lands another left hand. He's a hard hitting man, this Noinay. Very, very, very good boxer. Liam's doing everything he can to survive. He's trying to crowd Noinay. He's got 10 seconds to survive before he gets a minute break. But another knockdown will do it. Another knockdown will do it. Ooh. Liam's in all sorts of trouble. He's in all sorts of trouble. And that's the bell. The bell saves him. Liam is on wobbly legs. He's on ice skates. He's been hit bad. You know, it was very, very good tactics of him to be able to tie it up and you know and stop it. You know, but man, he took some shots, man. He took some shots. Oh my god. Sage, them candles are about to make Fan throw up. Man, they're killing me. The fucking candles are killing me. The men are set. Coach, have you had many fights? I haven't had any fights like MMA or boxing. I competed in like Taekwondo as a kid and competed in grappling and that as an adult, and I competed in Taekwondo as a teenager as well, and as a man as well. But no, I haven't had any fights like proper fights. No. Um, I'm not a fighter, man. I'm not a fighter. That's probably why I did martial arts because I wasn't a good fighter, or a fighter. Can he recover? Maybe, man, maybe. But he took some big shots. You know, he looks like he's hurt. He looks like he's still hurt, and Noinay is swarming all over him. You know, he's been dropped now 3 times in this fight. You know, that's a huge show of heart. You know, but he's taking a bit of a beating now in this fifth round. You know, can he make Noinay punch himself out? I don't know. You know, if Noinay's throwing shots that aren't landing and they're not really hurting him, I don't know. But Noinay seems to be tough as they come because the shots that Liam does land don't hurt him. But those rips to the body by Noinay are fucking money. Those rips to the body slow you down so much. People don't understand. It's not just the headshots. It's those shots to the body, man. You have nothing left. You have nothing left in the tank. You have nothing left in the tank. You don't have, like, you can't move your head out of the way. Your legs don't work. You can't move your legs out of the way. And so you start to take these massive bombs to the head, but your resistance is down too because you're hurt to the body. This fight, I don't think is going to go the distance one way or the other. Um, Martovi says, I have a Taekwondo dojo around the corner to where I live. Reviews and that say the receptionist is very toxic. Then stay away from him, man. Buster Douglas says, as you said, mate, Noinay ain't no journeyman. No, I don't think he's a journeyman at all. At all, at all. You know, Liam is class, dude. Liam's a good fighter, but Noinay is giving, like, dishing out a beating, man. Liam's doing a good job of tying him up, but Noinay looks good, man. He looks good. He looks fresh. Looks like a mean dude as well. Liam's hurt. Is also hurt to the body. Noinay's landing big shots to the body. Huge shots. That little just landed a left rip to the body, then did Noinay. Oh, lands a left to the head of Liam. Liam lands a nice right hand lead and a little uppercut on Noinay. Then he lands a right hand lead again on Noinay. But Liam's punches just don't seem to have the power on him anymore. And Noinay lands another left hand to the body. Oh, another rip to the body does Noinay. Then he lands a left hand to the head of Liam, and that's the wrap, man. That's all she wrote. That is all she wrote. Even if he gets up, you got to stop the fight, man. That's it. It's over. My God, what a performance by Noinay. Those rips to the body were absolutely brutal. What a performance. What a fantastic fight. And I am a fan of Liam Wilson, man. I am a fan of Liam Wilson. Tough as they come. Tough as they come. Xander Kazma says, "Hey man, not much, but appreciate your commentary for people who can't afford the fight. Hey man, I really appreciate you doing whatever you can, man. Any support means the world to me, man. It really does. And thank you so much. It helps keep the podcast going. So thank you so very, very much." Spark still $9.50 to 1. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, I think so. I think it is 9 to 1. You know, that's he can still win, but I doubt it. Joe Schmo says, rumor has it Fab is modest. He's a fucking savage. I'm not a savage, mate. I can tell you that. But I've been around some tough people, and I know I'm not one of them. David Kavanagh says, Fab, teeing him up is one thing, but getting a belting is another thing. Yeah, man. He did give him a bit of a flogging. Owen Duffy says, when is Tszyu going to fight a top 10 ranked guy? I think it's coming, man. I think it's coming. Just got to be patient. They got to bring him up correctly. David Kavanagh says, Fab, tying him up is one thing, but getting a belting is another. Yeah, he lost. You know what I mean? He did what he had to do, man. He was very hurt and he tied up, but he got hurt real bad. Buster Douglas says, Liam's my cousin. I did tell him this, but not going to play the I told him so card. Probably don't. Xander Kazma says, the Rocky story. Man, great performance by Noinay. Great performance. Really, really impressed. Matthew Leslie says, Spark decision $41 and Spark KO pays $15. Rival Mate says, I'm saying round 3 or 4 Tszyu. Yeah, I tend to agree. Somewhere around round 4 or 5, something like that. David Kavanagh says, I picked the winner. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, sir. Fantastic performance. I thought Liam would win, but man, really, 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 really good. Really good performance. Steve Spark is moving around at the back. He hasn't put his pants on, but he's hitting the mitts with his people. Tim Tszyu is getting laced up now. His gloves are getting laced up now. I remember Igor, like the guy that's tying the gloves up there. For him, I just remember him always just being around and holding pads and putting on fight nights and whatnot. Good guy, man. Knowledgeable guy. David Kavanagh says, I feel McGregor will get belted again this weekend too. I don't know. We'll talk about that one for sure tomorrow. Chuck Les says, I like how you yelled, very respectful. What do you mean? Rival Mate says, Spark aim here should be to get rounds here against Tszyu. Amazing experience. Just don't think Tszyu will let him at the Fair One podcast. Grange TV. Oh no, Tzyyu's not going to go there to have a sparring match, sir. No way. Ryan David says Aussies just broke world record on Australian Ninja for the Warped War. Awesome. Congratulations, guys. Fury Wilder 3 prediction. I don't know, man. I think I always back Fury I think he's a better boxer, but the X factor with how hard Wilder hits is a big one. The Menace 304 says, Fab, where is your co-host, the one that was there for the Huni versus Gal fight? We're in lockdown, dude. We're in lockdown. He doesn't live near me. He lives on the other side of Sydney. We don't we don't live near each other, and we're all in lockdown. Xander Kuzma says, am I going to stream the McGregor fight? No. I'm going to do a commentary, yes, but I'm not going to stream the actual fight. Buster Douglas says, what's your prediction for Spark, mate? He will be good, but he took this way too early, in my opinion. I don't know if he only did it for the money, but if he gets flocked, he's fucked for his career as a growth standpoint. What do I think will happen? I think Tszyu is going to beat him. I think I don't know what that will do for Spark's career, but you got to understand as well, like, let's say he goes out there and he does a good showing or whatever, or even if he gets knocked out, right? No, but if he gets another fight right after in his division and he does well, the thing is that more people know who Steve Spark is than they did before. Matthew Leslie says, remember when Glenn Kelly got hammered by Roy Jones Jr.? Yeah, I remember that. That was a bad one. I've always been a fan of Glenn Kelly. McGregor really was on top. H. David says, McGregor really was on top last fight, but had a one-dimensional approach. He will either come back and destroy or will be for the end. Man, it's fighting, man. It happens. It happens. People get caught. People get hurt. Yeah. Dean Madden says, you sounded before, Fab, like you didn't have high hopes for Kambosos. No, I think when you asked me that, or when somebody asked me, I think I was talking about Teofimo, and then something happened, and I turned and spoke about Kambosos before I got a chance to speak about Kambosos. I think he's a very, 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 very tough guy. I think he fights very hard. I think Teofimo has to be the favorite. Like when you see what his body of work. Obviously, you don't beat Lomachenko by accident, So he's definitely got to be the favorite. He's definitely but I don't necessarily think he underestimates Kambosos. I think Kambosos is a very tough, hungry young man, you know what I mean? And I think it's an exciting time. Like somebody asked earlier, I couldn't answer every single question. Sorry, guys. But somebody asked me about the state of boxing in Australia. And I think it's an exciting time in Australian combat sports. And if dare I say, in Australia, New Zealand, combat sports in period, you've got a lot of good fighters coming up, a lot of good young fighters coming up, like a lot of guys that are going to be able to challenge for belts, in MMA, in boxing, like you got so many good guys coming through, that's really, really impressive. I think it's a really impressive time. And I think that Kambosos is one of them, so yeah, I'm really, really impressed by Kambosos. Bro, you got an NRL team? Not really. Buster Douglas says, nah, McGregor is in for it. Poirier is just as good as a non-native McGregor. It's a 50-50 fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight anytime those two fight. Roy Driver says, Fab, do you think Tszyu vs Sarafa will ever happen at all, or has a boat sailed? It just depends. It just depends on what Tszyu's team wants to do. Like the ball's obviously in Tim Tszyu's corner. He has to win, though. Tim Tszyu has to win today. If he wins, it's gonna come down to like what I said earlier. Like, what does his team want to do? What does the Australian public want to see? Does the Australian public want to see him fight Zarafa? If the Australian public want to see him fight Zarafa, then he's going to fight Zarafa, and it'll be a good fight because I think Zarafa will give him more of a fight than it'll be a closer fight than like in this scenario. He's fighting a guy in short notice. It's a smaller guy as well. So Zarafa will definitely give him those rounds. Now it's up to Tim to decide and his team to decide, okay, what do we do? Do we take this fight? Do we get this payday? Do we get the experience before I go to the US? Or do I not put this, do I not risk it and go overseas for the paydays? Because the problem would be then if he fights someone like Zarafa and he loses, and he's worked his way all the way to, okay, the next fight's in the US, and who knows what's been happening behind the scenes, then he's better off going straight to the US. It just depends, man. It depends. But money's going to talk. If the Australian public, if that fight Zarafa and him, like the Australian public want to see it, then and they're going to pay for it, then they're going to see it. Um, okay. I am excited for Glory Kickboxing. Owen Duffy. Matthew Leslie says Whitaker's a champ for a long time. Volk is a champ now. Izzy's a champ now. Outside of the world is looking good. Yes, it is, sir. Yes, it is. You got a lot of good young boxers as well coming up from this part of the world. Mr. Bungle says Spark is walking out now. He's got dudes with snare drums playing out for some reason, but sounds all right. I can't hear it. I can't see it. Um, Yeah, those titles wouldn't be up for grabs though for him because he's got titles in a lower division. You know what I mean? This isn't which Zoo's not eligible for. It's only Zoo, his stuff that's on the line. Who won Noinay versus Wilson? Noinay. First Australian. Agree, Cameron. The lift kit on Sparks Hilux must be insane for his gigantic balls not to get gravel rash driving around Sydney. Ryan David says Zarafa has no heart, so he's lost the fight already. Spark will give Zoo a better run for his money than any boxer will. Um, I don't know that Zarafa has no heart, dude. I don't know why he didn't fight. You know what I mean? Like he cited what he cited, and he's got his reasons for it. And I don't think he's. I think he will fight. You know what I mean? Whatever reason it was, whatever reason it was. Um, okay, they're about to walk out now. Zoo's just getting a few drinks from his granddad. I love his granddad. Eh? He's an adorable fellow. But he can punch, man. Jay says, Fab, should I shave my head? I don't know, dude. I don't. Are you going bald? What's the shape of your head? Etc. 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 All these things will dictate whether or not you should shave your head. If you have beautiful flowing hair, then no, go with that. Go with your flowing hair. I don't know. There's all these points you have to discuss, and it's cold, dude. When you shave your head, it's cold. I'll be back in a sec. Um, Fab, you got your eyes on any up and coming MMA fight, any up and coming fighters in the MMA sphere in Australia or worldwide? There's a lot of good fighters coming up, man, all the time, man. All of them. Um, there's heaps, man. There's so many good young fighters coming up. Um, Jay says, yeah, but my hair is thinning. but I still have enough of it for it to look normal, if you get what I mean. It's up to you. Run with it as long as you can, but if you got a decent shaped head, shave it. You may as well get used to it. Don't do the comb over shit, man. Don't do that. Um, Derek Edwards says, from a surfing perspective, do breath work as part of your surfing program and learn to relax in the situations. There's our Margaret River, also quality leg rope. Always go grab a. I can't pronounce that. Yeah, man, like the breath work and all of that, but I just got to get more comfortable in the ocean, man. That's just the biggest thing because just not comfortable in it yet. But I do appreciate your thing, and that's what all my mates tell me. They surf big waves and that, and so yeah, it's just getting used to it, man. Toby says, I want to shave my luscious, beautiful hair, but I'm scared of that causing me to realize that I'm going to be bald, a bit like the Seinfeld episode. If you got luscious hair, keep it. Street Heat says, no beanie, bro. Yeah, but sometimes you can't wear a beanie, and you just get caught out in those moments. Ryan David says, look up Aussie MMA star Isaac Thompson. He's been rated as the youngest ever UFC champion. I trained with him for years, and he's a whole new level. Oh, I think, yeah, if it's who I think it is, let me just look him up now since we're here. Let me just look him up now because if it's who I think it is. Yeah, I've seen this kid now that when you said it. I s There's a lot of good people, man. There's a lot of good people. So we'll see what happens. Um, sorry. He took out all divisions in grappling in America last year as a 17-year-old and the world championships. But at what belt? At what belt? Um, Dizzy Thumb says, do snorkeling. It helps you to learn to relax in the ocean and breathe normally. Oh, I snorkel, man. I'll go spearfishing and that. But if you've never been caught at the back and you're a beginner, like if you're a beginner like me, it's hard for people who've been surfing for a long time to understand that. It's like if you grapple someone, if I grapple someone and I tell them, hey man, don't use strength, don't use this, relax, blah, 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 blah. If you haven't been in those positions, you're going to do all of those things. You're just going to. So I have to get used to it more and more and more. Owen Duffy says surfing is just not fun unless you're good at it. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you on that. It's very hard work, man. Ryan David says gi and no gi grappling. He won. He took out all divisions and won the men's open. Yeah, but at what belt, Ryan? Did he do that at blue belt, purple belt, black belt? Adam Clark says, regardless, it's a really good achievement. Don't get me wrong. Joe Schmo says beginner, pig's ass. You know your stuff, Fab. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Xander Kazma says biggest fish you have speared. Um, no, not that big, man. Probably like I don't know. What can you see? If this is my head, probably about that big. Big drummer, I think it was. Nothing amazing. Um, Jay says, how hard is surfing to pick up as an adult? Was thinking of starting when I eventually moved back to Australia. Fucking hard, dude. It's fucking hard. It depends. Like I started trying to surf at 40, 41, 40 at 40. And it's fucking hard. Like, and I'm not super fit, but I'm reasonably fit. I'm a reasonably fit guy. I'm not anything amazing, like fitness wise. And when I started, I wasn't super fit. I was kind of out of shape. I just had my daughter, the rah rah rah. And obviously, I'm not like 17 years old where I can just go and surf every day and blah, 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 blah. So it's hard. So let's say I get in the water 2 to 3 times a week. And on top of that, it's hard because if you haven't grown up near the ocean, I didn't grow up near the ocean and all that. So just like, dude, when you're at the back and the wave like the wave breaks and you watch it and you're on top and you have to stand on the board, like, and you look down when you have to stand. It doesn't have to be big. You might just be a 3 foot wave. It feels like you're on top of a skyscraper. And when you don't catch the wave and the next one and you watch it and it goes like that, it's scary, man. And the hardest thing about surfing, and this is what nobody tells you, or maybe they do, is the paddling. You don't surf, man. When you're a beginner, you don't surf. You just fucking paddle and paddle and paddle and paddle and paddle. That's all you do. That's what's hard. Um, Ryan Davids, if he's a purple belt and he did that at purple belt at 17 years old, he's going to be fucking good. He's going to be really, 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 really good. I'd heard of him actually before that because I kind of, but I didn't know his name. But I got my thing. But yeah, now if you're doing that at 17, he's going to be a machine. Matthew Leslie says, confidence is key in the ocean. It has no mercy. I was a lifeguard on the Gulf Coast half my life. Even good swimmers can panic and drown. Seen it many times. 1000%, dude. And the way these guys that were with me, the way they are in the ocean is completely different, dude, to how I am. Like they're like black belts. You know what I mean? If I'm a white belt, they're black belts. They're very, very comfortable in the water, very comfortable in the whole situation. They're not like when he came out to rescue me, he was just kind of laughing. He's like, "Ah, we're good, man, we're good." But yeah, um, Buster Douglas says, "Bro, I'm 6'3", an amateur boxing record of 9-1, and I spar with jiu-jitsu guys, and fuck me dead. What a reality check." When you spar with jiu-jitsu guys, what? When you do jiu-jitsu or when you do MMA or what? Because I'll tell you something about jiu-jitsu guys. If you put gloves on them and they have to spar with you boxing, they're going to get a reality check too. So don't feel too bad. The Menace says, two blokes I'd love to have a beer with, Sam Pang and Fab. Well, sir, you can have a beer. I don't drink, but that's not that unachievable. Um, Ryan David says 100, mate, he did. I'm assuming we're talking still about the kid. Yeah, that's very impressive, man. Really impressive. Zrain says, first time surfing, ended up paddling with one arm. Why is that? Um, Ryan, he's been with Uriah Faber's camp over a year now, and he won both his MMA pro debuts in the first round. Yeah, he sounds like a very, very impressive kid. Very, very impressive. Mr. Bungle says, first round over, he's going at it already. Haha, Sparky's throwing everything he got. What's happening now? Nothing. They're walking out. And okay, man. Sorry, buddy. We're going to block you. See you, Ryan Kennedy. No, I've seen him, man. I actually seen that kid. I I do know who you're talking about. You know, I didn't know him as his name, but yeah, I know who you're talking about. Guys, if you start swearing or carrying on, I'm just going to block you, and that's what it is. um. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've never boogie board. Surfing's hard, man. Thank you, Menace. I appreciate you shouting me a water. I really do. Martovi says, really enjoyed it though. I felt like I was progressing really well, especially with my athleticism and flexibility. Oh, you're talking about BJJ? Yeah, it's cool, man. It's a very cool martial art. Really cool martial art. Zoo is now making his entrance. Um, Jed Kerr says, what form of fighting would be best for a young fella? I'm thinking judo. Your thoughts, Fab? I think judo is fantastic. I think it depends the country you're in. I think, like, to me, I think wrestling is probably the best thing out of everything that I've done. I think wrestling is just the shit, you know. But it just depends what what country you're in. Like, we don't have a strong wrestling culture, so I think here in Australia, if you do judo and jiu-jitsu, you're gonna have that they're really good martial arts, you know, and they're basically the same martial art with different rule sets, you know, but it's basically the same thing with objectives being different. So I think if you do that, it's you're going to be pretty covered. I think that's my opinion. That's just me. I think grappling, but you have to have a grappling with takedowns and that. Otherwise, it's a half a job. So judo and jiu-jitsu, yeah, wrestling, Olympic. If it was just me, like if I could only do one, I'd probably say and it could pick it anywhere, it'd probably be collegiate. And I know you can't cheat and put striking in the style, you know what I mean? So we're just talking about one thing. So I would probably pick collegiate wrestling, like the folk style wrestling that they do in the US, because they got a lot big ground element. Whilst they don't have submissions, they still have a big ground element, and they have the normal stand up wrestling. Are you watching this live? What's happening? Dizzy thumbs. They're just out now. The fight hasn't started. Thomas Price says, "G'day Fab, big love from Wollongong. Can't wait for this lockdown to be over." No, sir, I'm in Wollongong myself, and I cannot wait for the lockdown to finish. We're lucky that we are in Wollongong in a nice place too. Dizzy Thumb says you could bodyboard asleep. It's bloody easy. Yeah, I've never tried that. I've just been trying to surf. It's hard work, mate. Big respect for surfers, man. Big fucking respect. Like the balls on them is massive, dude. The waves, guys, man, it's fucking hard. Harris Hawkins says, I expect some solid commentary here. We'll see how we go. Jay says, I really enjoyed BJJ until I got partnered with someone who had flu or something, and then I obviously caught it from him whilst grappling. That's a motherfucker with grappling, dude. That's a real bad thing with grappling. Real bad one, you know? Buster Douglas says, not playing jiu-jitsu, but MMA guys who even have a blue belt in jiu-jitsu absolutely flog me in MMA. I'm a lot better since experience, but still shit as bro. Yeah, if you can't grapple, and you're fighting MMA, you're gonna get fucking smashed. Yeah, that's a truth. That's the truth for sure. Yeah, 100%. But then on the flip side of that, if you can only grapple and you fight someone in MMA that can grapple like just enough, and they've got hands, they're gonna fuck you up too. You know. Yeah, wrestling with a lot of kickboxing. Yeah, well, that's what I said. You're cheating though. You're putting striking in. If I could just pick one, I'd probably pick that, like collegiate wrestling. I never actually got a chance to train in collegiate wrestling. Like I only ever wrestled freestyle wrestling. But if you're asking me, I think that's got the ground element a lot. Whilst it doesn't have submission, still has a massive ground element. All right, people, we're about to start. I'm going to miss a lot of the questions. I'm sorry, people. And looking at each other. Zoo's looking at the ground. We're off, people. We're about to start. Spark looks fully focused. We're off, people. We're off. Both guys in the orthodox stance. Zoo ties him up immediately. Zoo looking for that right hand. Spark throws a little cheeky uppercut. Both guys trading jabs. Spark has definitely got some hand speed on him. Zoo puts his left hand out and goes to throw the right hand. Zoo looks significantly bigger, as we can expect. Big combinations by Spark, and he lands a nice little uppercut on Zoo. Zoo with a good right hand. Seems to have wobbled Spark a little bit. Spark, he landed a good uppercut on Zoo. Zoo showing off a good chin as well. Both guys. Ooh, nice right hand by Spark. Zoo lands a nice little left hook. Partially taken on the gloves by Spark, but very nice. Again, tied up again. Zoo throws a nice right hand over the top in the clinch. Ooh, big right hand by Zoo taking on the gloves of Spark, but that you could tell the power that was coming in that shot. This is the first round of 10, 1 minute and 34 seconds to go in the first round. A lot of power being thrown by both guys. Both guys kind of headhunting as well in the first round. It looks like neither one of these guys is expecting this fight to go the distance because they're not putting shots to the body. Zoo lands a right hand over the top. He's landed a couple of right hands in the clinch. They're kind of landing in the back of Spark's head, and I think that's what Spark is saying to the referee. Left hook by Zoo. Oh, right hand lands by Spark. He landed a nice right hand on Zoo. They're both exchanging. Zoo's able to slide out of the way, doing a good job tying up the smaller man. Nice jab landed by Spark. Spark with another right hand of his own partially lands on Tim. Big right hand landed by Tim. Left uppercut landed by Tim, followed by the right uppercut by Tim. Spark doing a good job tying up the 2-1 and then throwing a right hand over the top. Wow. 18 seconds to go in this first round. Nice hook landed by Tim. Nice left hook, but a nice jab down the middle lands by Spark. And then Tim goes looking for a right hand over the top. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the round. Nice work. That was, man. I do see that as the fight progresses, I do see that Tim being able to just slowly press down more and more and more on Spark. And, he's a bigger guy, throws a lot of power. It's hard. It'll be hard. Nah, Dizzy Thumbs, I'm not scoring it. I don't know. But I think Tim won that round, in my opinion. They're coming out for round 2 now. Ooh, Spark lands another right hand. Tim over the top with a huge right hand himself. Spark lands another right hand on Tim. He's landing that right hand lead on Tim. Tim's kind of rolling out of the way, but still slides out of the way of the left hook, does Tim. Tim throwing big clubbing shots over the top on Spark. Nice right hand landed by Tim. He's kind of mugging Spark now, throwing him around. Big show of strength by Tim too. Tim's really bullying him now inside. 1 minute and 54 seconds to go. Right hand down the middle by Tim. High guard by Tim. Throws a massive right hand again. There's not a lot of volume coming back from Spark's side anymore. Spark has had some luck throwing the big right hands, but just the toll of Tim's volume and Tim's overall strength. Big left hand landed by Zoo. Big uppercut landed by Zoo. Big right hand landed by Zoo. Spark is in a lot of trouble. There's been a lot of big shots come from Tim Zoo. And then the leaning and the grappling and the pressure, it really takes a lot. Oh. Oh, big left hook eaten by Spark. Big uppercut by Spark. Taken by Spark again. Spark's got a chin on him, man. got a good chin. Was Tim has landed some fucking shots, man. But this is not going to go too much longer, man. It can't. 42 seconds to go in the second round. Tim is absolutely bullying him. There's not a lot of power left in Spark's shots anymore. Tim lands a rip to the body and then an uppercut and a clubbing right hand over the top. Spark doing well to get out of the way, but another lead right hand by Tim lands flush on the chin. Tim again hitting him in the clinch as Spark holds his glove. Spark in a lot of trouble, man. Like he's still moving and trying to get out of the way, but Tim's just stalking him and hitting him. Hitting him with some big shots. You know what happened? My remote controls, they're mixed up. No, they're not mixed up, but they this remote control is meant to be only for the clock, but it works the sign as well. By accident too, not because I want it to be. Man, the shots, man. He's taken some big shots, has Spark. He's absolutely mugging him. Like he's just mugging him, just big brothering him. I don't know, like and they spilt the ice. Sparks corner has spilt the ice. I don't know if this was a tactic to give their guy a longer breather, but I don't know how much it's the best watching all these guys getting the ice out of the ring. They're doing it with their shoes, they're doing it with their towels, just to I think it is a ruse to get Spark a bigger rest, but it's they're going to need more than that. Ryan Davidson's party at Paul Vaughan's. It is very, very, very one sided. So somebody asked, is it one sided? Yes, very one sided. Like early on in the fight, Spark landed some shots, but yeah. Now this has given him a breather. I don't know what they're going to do in the second corner, if they're going to slaughter a deer or whatever in the second round. I'm not criticizing them. I think it was good amount of showmanship, gamesmanship from their corner. Big shots, good head movement by Spark, but Tim Tszyu is absolutely mugging him. Big exchanges now happening in the pocket, but Spark hasn't got the power anymore to worry Tszyu. Zyu's just standing in the pocket and just banging it out with him, throwing big shots. And he's definitely the bigger guy. He's definitely like much stronger guy. And he's fighting like he is. Spark cannot keep him off him. He's trying to land that right hand. But Tim is already now, he has the measure of him. And he also knows how to, like, he knows how to roll with it. A clinching here, and Zyu's just going to continue to lean on him, make him wrestle. He's the bigger guy. It takes a lot out of Spark. Spark's hit him with Tszyu with some shots though, and Zyu's just got a chin and just walks straight through him. And now how hurt Spark is not going to be able to get the punch to finish Tszyu. I don't see it. I don't see that happening. Tszyu just continuing to walk forward and land the combinations. 1 minute and 19 seconds to go in the third round. Oh, nice stiff jab landed by Spark. Tszyu with a massive rip to the body. That liver shot. Oh my god. I don't know if Spark's going to see the bell, man. See the if he makes a count, man. He's really hurt, man. I can tell you right now. If you get dropped like that by a liver shot, you're in all sorts of trouble. He's got a huge heart, man. Oh, man. The liver shot again, man. Oh my god. Wow. My god. Oh, oh, wow. Anyways, I think, Spark did give a good account of himself in that, it was a short notice fight. Tim's a lot bigger. Man, it was a good fight. Not like a great fight, like showing, but man, I was actually impressed by Spark. Poor Spark, he got fucking hurt. Um, Owen Duffy says, I can't watch liver shots ever since I got dropped with one. Man, they fucking hurt, man. If you've ever been hit with a liver shot, you understand. It's not pleasant. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Um, oh, it really, really hurts. I'm surprised he even got up after. Yeah, it's over. It's over. He fucking destroyed him. Yeah. Um, and that's that, man. That's the that's the round. It's over. Um, the problem is, right, here with Zoo, is that, my opinion, this is just me, he did what he was supposed to do. It's not his fault Zarafa pulled out. I'm sure he'll fight whoever they put in front of him. Um, but you want to see him fight. Now do you jump to the US? Do you jump and fight bigger opposition, bigger and better opposition, or do you fight Zarafa here at home? I don't know that we learned that much from Zoo watching this fight, that much about Zoo watching this fight. I think Zarafa would have answered a lot of questions if he'd like. It would have been a good stepping stone if Zoo beat him. Um, but he was such a heavy favorite against Spark. The Menace says, thanks, Fab. Have a good night, mate. Thank you, sir. Liam McHungry says, thanks, Fab. Cool commentary, except you left out the ending. What do you mean I left out the ending? Like the guy, I said he dropped him with a liver shot. It's over. That means he dropped him with a liver shot. It's over. Um, yeah, man. It was, man. Um, Ryan David says, thanks heaps, big man, for tonight. Second time I've tuned in and love it, mate. I'm off now. Much respect. P.S. Get on to Isaac Thompson. Follow his journey. I will, sir. I absolutely will. Um, Chuck Les says, Spark made it competitive in round one, but Tim adapted so quick with those uppercuts and liver shots. Yes, sir. Um, hey, Fab, sorry I couldn't be on for the live stream. Talk to you later. Yeah. Hassan Ahmed. Yes, sir. Of course, man. Um, N says, who else is there in Australia for him now? Well, I don't know. Zaref, I suppose. I don't know. Gavin Martin says, cheers, Fab, in hotel quarantine. Sorry, man. That sounds like it would be awful. Hey, guys, take care. I'll be back on tomorrow night. We're going to talk about the Conor McGregor and Dustin fight that's coming up. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate everyone that supported, everyone that was here. We're going to be here, obviously, tomorrow. We're going to talk about the fight. But on Sunday, we're going to do the fight. We're going to watch the fight. We're going to talk about the fight. We're going to hang out. So thank you very much, man. A little off topic, but who do you have, Connor or Dustin, this weekend in UFC, Fab? I have Dustin. Yeah, man, that one, I don't know. It could be either one of them. I think they both hit hard. I think Connor's got more tools, more ways to win, but I don't know necessarily. That doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Dustin does what he does well, and yeah. Um, Luke Masiano says Zarafa did not quit the fight. They gave him no option with the COVID situation. Was he was going to come with no team? Well, you know what I mean. That's what I mean. I never think that Zarafa or any of those guys are scared or quit or anything like that. I think people just say that. But anyways, man, I'll catch you all later. Tim Tszyu won the fight. Jamie Reynolds. Take care, guys. Please tune in tomorrow for the tomorrow evening for the Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier breakdown. So thanks a lot, guys. Take care.